much and good night.
All right, folks, we are live. What's up? It's really. We're coming at you.
Yeah,
There we are. We're
That on-screen keyboard is just
yeah, it's
amazing.
wonderful.
Yeah, but they can't see it, so it's fine.
It's wonderful. So
We
the
don't have to talk
laptop
about
is
it.
obviously out of reach. That's how we're
Yeah,
streaming
it's-
this. And in order for me to do things, I'm using the on-screen keyboard. And Scott sat here quietly, not making fun of him, dude. I've been like laboring real hard. There's like TWIT.
Yup.
Like it's not efficient. It's not functional. But these guys
Yeah.
are just running their mouths, talk about game design while I'm trying to get
That's
everything
right.
set and going.
That's right. Designer boys.
you're looking at the new designer over here.
Yeah, I
behind
don't
our
know if I
studios, right?
actually have like stated this publicly, but I'm now associate game designer in Paladin.
Yeah, it's dope.
Which
I
is-
mean,
Well, if it was secret, I have talked about it many times on my stream.
Oh.
So, oops.
Yeah, that's what friends are for.
and so for people who don't understand exactly like basically the process of associate game designer, he's basically a designer who hasn't put 6 to 9 months in yet. is pretty much what it is, right?
We live it.
Like he's got to go through all of the bitch work of like, oh yeah, that database thing.
Yeah, in the database, all of the icons from whenever like they made Paladins, I had to go through and like get rid of all the old Smite icons. Like it was
Oh,
great.
oh,
It was
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Season 3 was fun for me.
Uh-huh.
When I did the all new items plus the relic, it was like,
Yep.
oh. The worst part is to test it. You actually have to clone every single item inside of Smite.
No thanks.
So everything. So then we could opt into the second store. So it was like it ended up being around 179 items, and then every single day, Zero was kind of like, all right, Scott, you do systems, figure out how we're gonna do relics. I was like, so it'd be like scratch one, recopy like 12 of them. It's like okay.
Well, we
Fine.
recently quadrupled our card base,
Oh, God.
so I had to go through and update the descriptions on half of those.
Ooh, that doesn't sound fun at all.
And then you gotta update the sheet.
No, you put on like Dead Mouse or whatever, and you're rocking out. And you just
Oh no. and
Monster Cat.
Monster Cat.
If you can actually zone out very nicely in
Yeah.
the database because it's like it's actually almost peaceful because there's no theory, there's nothing to it. It's
Yeah.
like, all right,
Just push
devices, not range. Let me look. Okay, Deathbringer. I'm
Yep.
gonna go ahead and change this. You know what I mean?
Wait.
It's really nice. Yeah.
Yep. Remove the brackets, whatever, and then
Yeah.
you're good.
It's fun.
I got a tweet out with the on-screen keyboard, guys. I even searched for media using the on-screen keyboard. See, I got
You're a champ.
I got a picture
And
of
you know what
us.
the best part is? Chad actually could probably hear it too.
Oh, totally. It was. Listen
Click.
to the sound of this mouth.
Oh, look! Is that not playing solitaire? No,
Yes,
Chris.
Yes, he's playing solitaire.
That's the on-screen keyboard.
See, I told you it was choppy.
Yeah, it's a little choppy. I really like. I don't know why it's choppy. We're here at Krett Soundstage, so that might be part of the problem. I'm thinking. But so anyway, introductions are you guys know us. We talk
what
about
have you
your
been
new
up
job. But this guy, this is Scott Gandhi. He's your resident master of the console world. You're
Well, it's
general
actually
game design, right?
yeah, it's general game design now at this point. It's mostly systems, but sometimes other things.
Word.
Yeah.
So he's a master of all trades, jack of none, and he comes out and
Pretty
does
much.
a lot of pretty much nails the smite stuff.
You know, I'm pretty sure it's Jack of all trades, master of none.
I was being nice to Scott for once.
Oh, okay.
But for real, a lot of the positive changes that you've got out of Smite have been out of this guy, mainly because of his history as a pro thingamajigger.
It's something like that.
Yeah, you did.
It's something. A lot of them. I actually don't.
Esports.
Yeah,
Esports helps. The season ticket was my baby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Season 2 or season 3 season ticket. God, that nomenclature sucks.
I mean,
The 2016 season ticket.
you were definitely very excited about it. I got a couple of text messages at like 8:30 in the morning. Like, yo, look at the new screenshot. Be like,
well, that was like your
that's a cool-
dude, right?
That's a cool screenshot, man.
Yeah.
I'm going back to sleep, but that's a cool screenshot,
Yeah.
man. Like,
Yeah.
totally. I imagine you just like high off the gym, just like, season ticket. Like that's kind of how I picture your entire like design process. I just picture you like, debuff, Odin spectral armor, and then you
man.
come in just sweating, going, Larson, I got the idea. Chill the fuck out, Larson, I got the idea.
No,
see that.
there is days where I come in like way too gung ho for things. But luckily I have my buddy Weiss. You guys know Weiss is a programmer who's like he's like polar opposite me. Right? He's just like shut the fuck up. And I'm like, dude, why? He's like, you know today sucks. And I'm like, man. I guess it does.
That's me. I mean, so that enthusiasm is legit why at least I have a job. I assume it's something to do with you. But like, that's me and Hindu on a daily basis. We'll sit down and I'll be like, yo, I got my notes. You ready for this? You ready? I'm ready.
Yeah.
You're gonna kill it. We're gonna wreck this cast. I can do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, no, are you excited? Like, I'm so amped. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, there's just, you need that. You definitely need that balance. It certainly works out here.
Yeah.
I have gotten some more enthusiasm out of Krett over the years.
Hey, I get excited sometimes.
About, like, cast iron pans and sales on
dude, I
dishware.
fucking love cast iron.
Yeah, to be fair, cast iron skillets go in.
Jesus Christ.
It's actually one of the more manly things you can have.
Totally is.
Yeah, no, I know. I know.
I'm with you there on that.
And they're heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Anything that's
Intruder
heavy.
comes in, frying pan.
Fucked.
The frying pan, that's what
That's
you're
right.
going for? Don't you have weapons? Aren't you a
Totally.
weapon owner?
But
the frying pan.
frying pan.
You know
Yeah, that's the first line of defense.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like, I always have, like, a bat under my bed.
Louisville
You have
Slugger.
a bat in your cubicle. I have seen it.
You do, actually.
Well, just in case, man. I work late hours.
Just in case Adonis gets pissed off.
You joke.
No, I don't joke.
Have you ever seen Kevin mad?
I've seen him.
I feel
string
like
rank
it's
before.
the Jolly Green Giant, but terrible.
SPL happened this week. SPL definitely happened this week, and boy, did it fucking happen. Crazy upsets all across the board. Little different things as far as the teams are concerned. Not just your boys ALG with their roster change, their role changes, but some roster changes as Zashu, Steefy Beefy, whatever the hell you want to call him, the solo laner for Cringe Crew, had to take a seat. So
Zashu's banned.
yeah, Zashu's banned. Last year, if you guys watched last season of Really, we said at least 12 times an episode that Mask was banned. Our highest viewed episode was the day that Mask was banned.
To be fair, he did get banned mid-broadcast. That was some great timing from the esports team.
Yep.
Well, technically the support team, but
The esports team for the press release.
Yeah, the press release. So we're going to chase that. We're just going to mention Zashu was banned like every 12
He was.
That's our thing.
He was. And so what was interesting about that game that is not actually the game, which was really good, is that in the post-game interview, which curiously enough, Cringe Crew was interviewed on, they said that they plan to stick with Zashu. Now,
Yes.
we don't know when he's going to be unbanned. It is 1 year
Really?
with the potential for appeal.
Yeah, so
And like, this is a thing that has happened, right? Like, Mask very obviously was going to have a career when he was unbanned.
Mm-hmm.
No one was surprised.
Yeah,
In League of Legends,
was
I
great.
Will Dominate did the same thing.
Yep.
Like, there are people who get banned, but it's like, yeah, they're really good. Hopefully they become better people. They've got a career.
Mm-hmm.
Zashu, maybe not as established
right.
as Mast, but he's got a year to just get good. So.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what happened with Zashu was started as far as his positive professional career happened. It was just recently. It was at Super Regionals, where Zashu really became somebody that I started to actually give a shit about. Yeah. Like all of the players matter, but there's sort of like the crease, to use a hockey term, where like you've got the bad players and the good players, and you've got this like no man's land, and once you cross this like crease, now I start
Once
to like
you can take Wolfie 1v1.
yeah, you get the third liners.
yeah, exactly. Now I want to know all about like your game plan, your god pool, and everything, as opposed to just your tertiary stats. Zashu entered that arena, and then before the split, like even went off, gets banned, and like that's an issue. But so we were talking, and Deathians is the coach. Soggy Sandal is the first string sub. He's gone. He's on like vacation or something. So Deathians, the dude that doesn't really play, or is the second string sub, I should say, and is the coach for the team. He steps in and. We've seen them play in 2 different sets.
He's solo Dimmy. I mean, he had help from Emilzy, but he's solo Dimmy.
He's solo Dimmy.
Like, I think it was the point where, like...
Full disclosure, he got booty stomped game 1.
Yeah, he did.
Like, destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, destroyed.
I didn't even see
it. It was Guan versus Bamana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I feel like that's not really a matchup where there's much outplay. Yeah. It's just sort of like the jungle shows up at the right time and you lose, depending on whichever team you are.
Right.
But, like...
Yeah.
I'm not even interested in that match because I don't think it's that interesting of a matchup.
Exactly.
Tyr Amaterasu is a pretty good matchup. That's interesting. I think Dimmy set himself up for failure, as I will later argue on that Panthera set themselves up for failure.
Okay.
But that was a matchup with some fighting and some goings on, and while Dimmy didn't actually get soloed, there is a kill that very clearly could have gone to Deathians.
Yeah.
Dimmy juked it, and Millsy shows up with the Athena to secure it. It fucking counts.
And forget about the solo and the single lane situations.
It counts. If I'm in the playtest room and that happens and Clumsy gets killed, that
yeah, it fucking counts.
Yeah.
Like
it does. No, it 100% counts.
And like
You taste it.
how much does that matter as far as like the lane is concerned? Getting soloed is a big deal, but more importantly, now that's the moment. I'm sure there's some like historical thing that I can point to that has something to do with mythology, but like that's the moment where you sit there and go, they're mortal.
yeah,
Like,
sure.
like our coach / water boy just took down the arguable MVP
Sure.
of Worlds.
Dude,
The
it's-
award went to Yaman. Dimmy did work during that series. He could have very easily been
totally.
Worlds MVP. And then you're telling me that Deathians, the dude that's the coach and sits on the sidelines, is the dude that has solo
with his own god.
Yeah.
With his own. You killed Dimmy with Tyr. Like
That's Divios' god.
it's
Okay.
Dimmy's too. In
It's
Europe,
Dimmy.
it's in Europe, it's Dimmy's.
It's Wolfie's
When I was
guys.
around esports, it was Divios.
It's Wolfie's guys.
I
Right.
watched Divios. I experienced him create multiple fake accounts to get sock puppeteer.
Yes.
I was there for
Yeah,
that.
he did.
Yes.
When he would go into Twitch streams and be like, "Yo, I need someone to play with.
Yeah.
I gotta level this up."
Yep.
But I mean, here's the deal. Here's the deal. When you get the fearless power cleave stand switch, fearless power cleave combo, it's called the 2032.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
Wolfie.
It is called the 20.
That's the Wolfie.
That's true.
Like that's
true.
the Wolfie.
But what about
But-
the reverse combo? Is that called anything?
I mean, that's
When you do
that's
blue stance to
originally the
red stance.
Wolfie.
But
But you
blue
can't do
stance
that
to red
anymore.
stance?
Yeah, but you can't do that anymore.
Wait, you still
No,
can.
you definitely still can.
You
Doesn't
can't
knock out.
clean combo it.
No,
but you
it's-
still use it as like you're like, oh fuck, my blink is down.
Well, actually, no. I mean, with the amount he heals, right? I mean,
Yeah, you're fine.
depending on it, it's like he hits 3 creeps.
you
and
get
he's-
a jump if you do that combo.
that's like the sustain cleave.
Yeah. Yep.
That's neither here nor there.
Also, for the record, it wouldn't be mythology. It would actually be pointed to 300, the movie.
Oh yeah.
Xerxes,
Okay.
where
Yeah.
the spear goes by and he bleeds,
Okay.
and they go and now they realize that God can bleed, right?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually a comic
Comic
book, not a
books.
movie.
Yeah. Comic books.
You want to play the actually game? I can do it all day.
Fuck you.
Deathians 300'd Panthera. He
He did.
300's
He did.
Panthera in the face.
And honestly, I think a big part of that was Dimmy getting solo killed because, first of all, God's
Yeah,
complete morale
yeah.
boost, but
Yep.
also one of the keys of Epsilon is at 16 minutes they group up and they shit on you.
Yeah.
And
That's fair.
part of that is Dimmy walks out of the solo lane, and he didn't get to do that because he was behind. And like this is an effect that we have seen season 2 Cyclone Spin. Solo laner walks out of solo lane and wins the game.
Mhm.
And if they're behind
Not
and
there.
that's what the team does, that strategy doesn't work.
That's fair.
Even if Dimmy he doesn't, even if Dimmy's not playing those hyper carries that we see that's like
Yeah.
So it's just the impact that they want to have.
Warriors are hyper carries. Have you met Omega?
It's rough, but
Dude, Omega's a different beast in his own.
Yeah,
Like,
he is.
dude,
it's a big deal.
when I sat next to him when he was playing Xbox, right?
Mhm.
He was playing Tyr, and Tyr in the earliest days of Xbox One, it was like, okay, Scott, you got to get Blink Fearless to work, and it has to be fluid for a video.
Right.
And it was like 3 days, and that's me.
Yeah.
I watched him catch people on the edge, and just like
Yep.
mind-blowing things that I never even thought would be done.
To be fair, the guy was born with a scuff controller in his hand.
He was.
Like,
I mean, he's a fantastic gamer overall, and the fact that more people don't touch on the fact that he's won a national championship in the same game on 2 different platforms is just crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But like he just has an aura around him though. Like I think people are just afraid of him.
Speaking of which, there's actually a tweet from Dust, who's the sub for Envy.
Is he
of-
really?
I think he is.
Yeah, Lil Dustin's a sub for
Yup,
Envy, dude.
it's cute, right? There's a picture, 9 minutes,
Little Dust.
Omega Ratatosker, Enemy Phoenix.
I
And
don't-
he's like, this is from a
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, dude.
Yes, without
That's
a doubt.
Omega.
I mean
Oh,
that's what Omega does, and that's Omega has created that essence of a solo laner.
Yeah,
sure.
Where you don't buy Mystical Mail anymore, but you still have this aura that pushes around you saying, get the fuck away, I'm the solo laner. And that's Omega. And all of the players that have come after Omega have fashioned their game, whether it's, you could argue that, it's just the meta and it's the way the lane works, it's the Warriors, but Omega really is the one that, like, set out there are 4 people attacking the tower, and I'm here taunting you because you just can't fucking pass me. Yeah. And my team is going to do the work, and I'm going to be the spacer. And, like, that's tried and true, and what everybody wants to do. That's what Defiance was able to do against Panthera, that literally no one would have got outside of the cringe crew, which honestly, if you ask them in a vacuum with a confession cam, I think maybe they tell you, we didn't even think
so,
right? Like,
what was Panthera's draft though, right? I remember the On Her and the Raijin.
Everybody has problem with the Raijin and Amir. That's the probably the 2 pieces that you're
Raijin, On Her, and then what was their jungler?
It was Amy, and the jungler for that thing was
someone in chat will tell you in a second.
Yeah, someone check. That's not my point. My point is Ymir, who has not been played to my knowledge.
Right, yep.
Or if he has been played, it's like once or twice, right? Mm-hmm. And then On Her and Raijin, who have both been played a lot, and they've got 20% win rates.
Win rates?
No.
20%
win rate after like 13 games, something is going on with these characters. It's not to say that you can't win with them. They're definitely strong. They're being picked. But it's a 20% win rate. So you look at the draft and you see 20% win rate, 20% win rate.
Fenrir jungle.
Oh, Fenrir's good. Ymir, who like we haven't really seen before.
There's also that like, same synergistic tendencies that you have where just woof brings it into
But like
regional.
I think losing solo lane matchup, Tyr Amaterasu, I think Tyr wins that. 2 characters with low win rates, a character we haven't seen before, and a Fenrir. Like, that's just not a good draft.
So, when it comes to win rates, especially with newer characters, you can't really, like, put any stock into it.
Thanatos Season 1.
Well, I think what you can do is you can start to think about why they're losing.
Sure.
And I think for maybe On Her, definitely Raijin, it's because when Raijin works, and we saw this from Shadow Nightmare, which is probably going to be where we're going to go next, is when you can dash in. You can teleport in, use your mez, and shit on people.
Herwin did it without using it specifically because he was up against an Odin. He never used the dash aggressively unless the Odin ring was already down.
But that's a big part of it.
Which is my point. You bring up Shadow Nightmare and I bring up Herwin, and they're 2 players that are very, 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 very mechanically, more importantly, positionally talented.
Sure.
You take a look at a player like Yaman, is that his skill set? Yaman strikes me more like the Boosh, where his job is really, he's going to be the frontline carry. Like, not frontline, but he's going to go up and just shit on you. He's going to walk at you, mage or not. He's going to walk at you. Does that work on Raijin? Does it not? Is it all about the
I think
win
it
rate?
does when he's ahead. I think that Shadow Nightmare style, I just don't like... They just never got the chance to be ahead. Like, Cringe Crew, when they were London Conspiracy, they proved that Scylla Naja and you can replace Cherio with Repicas. Like, they're both good Najas. Yep. It's fine, but they proved that Arrow, now Caro, is incredibly proficient on this combo. And, like, when I was coaching them, and we were playing against this, and I looked into it, like, he hits you on the frame pre-landing from the Naja. Which means you cannot Aegis, you cannot be Keprielted. You just fucking die.
You just instant. No heals.
Yeah. He's that good at this combo. So they're going to have mid-pressure.
That's impressive.
You've got On Her Ymir against whatever the fuck. You like a weird lane that has to win early, has to take over the game. They weren't able to because the mid jungle pressure is going to start to expand throughout the map. I think Panthera in their draft was set up for failure.
See, I don't think it was about the draft. I think honestly that it was all about the solo lane. I don't have a problem with Amir or Raijin because, like I said, I think that the gods' potential outshines its win percentage, especially if it's new. Yeah. Now, let me tell you that I actually don't like Raijin. I don't think Raijin is a fantastic character, but I don't think just because 80% of the players have lost with it that it makes it bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So and that's also not what I'm saying.
Right. Exactly. But when you look towards that where the loss came from, Raijin. It wasn't perfect, but Yaman didn't lose it. It was more about the solo lane. And I'm not sitting here saying Defiance is the next Cyclone spin. No, what I am saying is that why ever it happened, the lightning was caught in a bottle. Defiance wins the solo lane. He's able to come out of it and control Raijin, Kukulkan, Scylla, whoever the fuck is in mid is going to get tiered up.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if that's a Raijin or
Right.
Poseidon or a goddamn Isis. They're going to get tiered up. He can bait out the wing gusts. Like,
And
that's going to
I
be the
also
deal.
think, like, even if you don't accept my argument that, like, On Her Raijin are bad, right? Or, whatever. It's
Sure.
more nuanced than that, right? But, like, that is not the quintessential Panthera draft. For sure. Do you see an Ares, right? Like, it's not.
No, but I see Amir.
Yeah.
And that's
they haven't
that's
done that in
Raffer's
season.
God.
They haven't done it in season 3. It is Raffer's God, but like the Raijin and the On Her, like, it's a departure from what they usually do, right?
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Quintessential cringe crew. Silanasha,
Yeah.
right? What is Amilzi's God? It's fucking Athena. And what did Shaggy Shank play? Like Hou-Yi, I think.
Oh, Yi.
Yeah, he's fucking great at Hou-Yi. That character's on fire right now. Like, their draft, even if you don't want to say Panthera's draft was bad or suboptimal, Elsie's draft was better.
Sure. The only beef I have with that draft is the On Her, and I'm the number one On Her fan. I just don't think it's an Amelito God.
It's weird in season 3. On Her's a very strange character. In season 1, Europe had a 100% win rate with that.
Yes, it was all about reels on the
remember
On
that
Her.
actually.
Yeah, like, and that's the sort of thing where you just look at it, you're like, this character is not that good, but there's something going on here, right? And I think the same speaks for On Her in this season. Like, he's not that bad, but something's going on.
I
I
think
don't know,
it's-
man. Ocean slayed.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Ocean's
And that's definitely what the
slayed.
character can do.
And exactly, and I think that's in the right hands. Oceans went to the school of Zapman, where he is.
He did.
Oceans,
I can see.
Moex, they went to the school of
Yep.
Zapman. I'm level 2. Am I gonna get my pillar to be safe? Nah, motherfucker.
You're
I'm gonna get my
gonna
jump. I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna impale. I'm gonna kill him, and I'm gonna buy my boots. That's what I do every game. Like
To be
that's
fair
the
though,
thought.
like that's actually how you play on her.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
That's
it is.
exactly my.
I remember when I started in 2014, and they were like, "If you play on her, you gotta aggress,
Yep.
Yep.
because eventually shit's gonna fall off for you."
Yeah.
Yep.
And we haven't really changed on her that much.
No, he's
not
the same
at
character.
Like over the time, I mean, we
Yep.
increased the pen on his passive, right? Like, you're good.
Mhm.
He's fun.
Did that even up? I think it's still 15.
No, we increased it.
Yeah, it went up. It's like 20, I think.
Yeah, it's
What? Oh, that's dope.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that happened. That happened
Yeah.
like 3-2. I want
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah. It was a couple of patches.
3-2, 3-3,
Shit.
something
And,
along those lines.
yeah, I mean, when,
Like that's how you just gotta play that guy.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
what he's all
his
about.
ult is like, it's okay late game, but you don't use it for the
well,
ult.
it's CC immunity.
Yeah,
use it as beats. It's extra.
exactly.
Double beats.
purification. It's
Double
extra
purification.
purification.
Yeah, I'm
That's all it
so
is.
glad I don't cast anymore because
Yeah,
I
you
haven't
said
like
beats.
I was all for the name changing.
Yep.
Sanctuary dope, love it. When I say it, it's A's, and I'm
Yep.
like,
See,
shit.
no, see-
I'm so bad at my job.
Here's how you fix it. Because the reason you're saying ages is because you want that like quick word, sank. That's how I
true,
fixed
yeah,
it.
that's true.
I find myself. I still say beads all the time because I'm sitting there, and here comes the Athena. She takes out the purification. But if you can just be like, Scylla gets knocked out by sank.
And you can't say Puri because
Because
the
then
Jews
you're
Puri.
casting Xbox, yeah.
I honestly still say beads and fuck it. But but sank is sank. I've got no problem with sank. But so on her, the reason that on her didn't work on you just don't see that out of a Melito.
It did work for Shaggy Shank Game 1. That was like the only thing that went well for them.
Yeah, and on her is. I don't think Raijin is dissimilar. I think right now it fits in the on her conversation where on her is player to player.
Yeah.
And that's why I love our game at the moment because not only
It's
you have gods. Almost every hunter is viable with throwing dagger. I mean, honestly, y'all could play Cupid maybe, but like my point is,
Yeah, have you heard about Shing's Cupid throwing dagger jungle? It's actually a thing, apparently. Yep. I'm mad too.
you've got different gods for different players, and if you want to be that aggressive dude, if you want to jump in, if you want to go to the school of Zapman like Moex and Oceans have, you play that on her.
Yeah.
But if you went to the school of Youngbei, and you're gonna sit in lane and farm like a Melito, not that that's a negative. It always sounds negative when you say not aggressive.
Well, it's just because you would rather the aggressive than
Yeah, it's more.
not always. I love watching.
Look,
Melito
man,
move.
I'm now casual scum, right? Like, when I watch, like, Farm Fest, I'm like,
Ow.
right? Like, throw my phone, kick it up, I'm checking Twitter, right? But, like,
I mean, to be
when I
fair-
see aggressive play, I'm like, all right.
Sure. But
Let's do this.
But my point is, Emilito is more the Youngbei character. Where let him play his Neath, let him play his soul, farm the lane,
Yep.
and then mid game come in and just like bop bop bop. That's what Emilito does. So switching it up and playing the on her, I think that if you want to look at a problem in the draft for Panthera in their first loss, you got to look at the Honor, not because of the god, but because of the pilot.
I think they kind of went for it because of the Honor Ymir lane. I mean, that has always been good because
it's
exactly.
Funny. It's funny, dude.
It is funny too.
I mean, it's like Hogika Braki lane. It's
and
funny.
If you hit with an Inhale and an On Hurl and a Ymir 2, whatever your target is, they're dead.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like twice.
Yeah.
They got hit for 6,000 damage and they got 2,400 life.
So here's a question. So that I have. So like design and programming, right? For Smite, here's our cubicle, and then they're like right next to us, right? And so right now, like all of our programmers are like diehard SPL fans, right?
Sure.
Right. Like,
Hell yeah.
Like Jordan, who's like the dude now.
Mm-hmm.
Weiss is still like the main dude, but Jordan's like dude number 2. Right?
Barkus?
Yep.
Is that Barkus?
No. Barkus is the level designer.
Okay.
He sits on the end of Zero. But, like, Jordan is, like, such an Incon guy. He's like, this guy, I associate with him because he gets into work early, Incon streaming early.
Yep.
They're loving it, right? And so every time an SPL match goes on, like, productivity goes from, like, 110% to, like, 90, right?
Yep.
And so, like, you
He's
find...
nice.
Yeah. But, like, you go from... You see something happen. And I remember Jordan and Ivan. Ivan's the other program. He's relatively new, but he's also a big SPL fan. He walks over and he's like... He starts talking about it, and he's like, so do you think it was Panthera just playing down to his competition? Right? And I was like... No. Well, I missed game 1. What happened in game 1? And he goes, oh, they stomped him. And I was like...
Like,
maybe.
one of the
like,
most brutal stomps.
Like, how... Like... I was that competitive player, right? Like, when you annihilate someone...
it's very hard to...
Like, you don't take anything serious. At least for me. And now that's probably not paying credit to Cringe Crew or anything, but, like, at some point you have to ask, like, did they just play down to their competition?
And honestly, I think this is going to further my point, and FTL's not going to agree, but I don't fucking care. I think it's really easy to play down to your competition... Or in the other direction, to tilt during your draft and recover in game.
I don't agree.
I think it's very easy to make those mistakes in the drafting phase, and you get in the game and you're like, "Fuck."
No.
I
actually kind of trust Krett on this one. To be honest, because you've been through the ringer.
I 100% completely agree. Jokes aside, I completely agree, and obviously, you're.
Do you remember? Here's actually why it just hit me in the face. It's actually really funny. The Wheelish pick by Cyclone Spin randomly at the Summer Finals last year.
Yep.
Game 3. And then he, like, didn't stop talking about it. And they went on telling him they lost to TSM.
Yep. Yeah, like, that shit happens.
Krett, you might be a genius.
Or, fucking Worlds.
I know this isn't helping your case for future shows.
Fnatic versus Enemy Worlds, they gave us Neath. We didn't expect it. We were like, they're going to ban Neath. Everyone bans Neath. They're going to ban Neath. And then they gave us Neath. So we picked it. And we're like, fuck, why did we pick Neath? We didn't need it there.
And I am constantly saying, in order to, and this is something that I fiercely believe in.
So good.
I don't think that you need to play the game, any game, Smite, basketball, fucking skee ball. I don't necessarily think it's necessary to play the game at a high level to analyze the game at a high level. But,
totally not.
But absolutely.
And anyone who says that is normally just like,
a goal.
I don't agree, so like, I got to find something to attack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the reason why I like casting with you so much, and why I like casting with Allied, and why I pretend to like casting with DM, is that...
Which, by the way, is really enjoyable to listen to.
Thank you, and I'm going to get back to that so I can pad my ego a little bit. But my point is, I like casting with ex-professional players, because I can analyze the game at a high level, but I never get that feeling.
Right.
And that happens. What you're talking about is very, very noticeable. Any of you guys out there, go play ranked with either your 3 friends or, God forbid, play 5-on-5, which is the ideal way to play Smite. Solo queue doesn't give you a good representation of the SPL experience.
Ranked joust, though.
Shut the fuck
I still
up. Go with 5 people into picks and bans, and then get to that halfway point of your picks and bans. And you sit there and go, the fuck do we want a jungle?
Yeah.
We thought so much about our dual lane synergy, and we have a mid Scylla, and they banned out everything we want.
It's a lot, man.
That's that feeling that is so much fun, and that might have happened. That might have happened to Panthera a little bit. Realistically, I think they just went, damn, we just beat that team in record time.
Yep.
Like we
time to pull out the Ymir.
No. What I'm saying is, Anher is not Emilito's style, in my opinion. And Ymir is a character that Rafa is well known for, but hasn't been successful yet this split. So, when you beat a team faster than you can make a fucking pizza, you go, alright, you know what, in game number 2, maybe we can not disrespect them, but we can pull out some more of our deep strategies. Because at the end of the day, this is an SPL. At the end of the day, this is an SPL team.
Totally
At the end of the day, this is an SPL team.
Still.
All of these teams, and I say this all the time when people pipe up and say, you called X player bad, and he's in the SPL. It's all about context, and at the bottom of the day, Cringe Crew is going to beat every single team that's not in the SPL.
Yeah.
Easily. Easily.
Yeah.
So, when you go out there and you're scrimming as
Panthera 10 by 3 minutes in lane.
So, when you're Panthera, you don't get
GMC.
You never get an accurate representation unless it's at the actual SPL stage. Yeah. You can play New Wa Jungle and scrims to your heart's desire, but it doesn't mean shit until you actually do it on the SPL stage. So, if you want to try out some of your deeper strategies to pull off against some of the higher end teams, where do you try it? When you're going head to head against Fnatic, the team projected to beat you? No, against a team you beat in 17 minutes.
See, I would go
That's
the other
where you
direction.
try your shit.
I'd go the other direction. I'd say you just you pick the exact same draft and you don't show a damn thing. Like,
but you got to. But like
LCS
there's
this
a
season,
balance.
Immortals, their support played 2 characters.
That's it. Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And then one game, both those characters were banned, so we played a third character. And when that happened again, guess what he played? The third character.
Yeah, shit was Farvis.
Right. And so, like, I think that's another direction to go where, like, we're the best team in the world, we're not showing anything, and then keep it quiet with your scrim partners. Because I don't know who their scrim partner is. My guess is it's still Fnatic.
Sure.
Like, Fnatic's a good scrim partner.
But, I mean, there's such a different world between scrims and the regular stage, and that's my point, is you can play all the weird shit you want, and we had a small discussion about protecting your strategy and just how valuable that is anyway. Yeah. But as a player, Scott, I mean, that just fucking makes sense. Yeah. Right? Like, you gotta, like, because at the end of the day, you're hiding your strategy. So Immortals, not Immortal, by the way, they did get beat eventually.
Yeah.
Immortals, right? They protect their fucking strategy so they can finally use it on the biggest stage, and who knows if it actually works. Mm-hmm. You try that strategy against a lower end team once, and then you get quiet about it and forget about it. And then the good analyst at that desk, when they're picks and bans of the big deal game that you're talking about, he'll bring it up. Yeah. But hopefully everybody else forgot that you have a pocket Naja solo, right? Like, but at some point, you have to try that, right? Like, at some point, you have to try that.
But I think part of that also depends on your confidence in your scrims. Because, yes, scrims are not the SPL stage. But as your scrim partner gets better...
I can't pick a side.
Like, if you have a really good scrim partner, it's the closest thing you're going to get.
Sure. Completely agree.
So, like, it sort of depends. And there have been times in my coaching career where, like, I will trust my scrims 100%, and there are times where it's like, you know, we really don't know. We need to see what other teams are playing.
Bro, there is a really, really good pizza place near here.
Yeah.
It's not the same as New Haven Pizza, but it's really good.
Oh, yeah?
My point is, you want the actual product.
You do. That's true.
If you go to Verrazano's down in Roswell, it tastes damn good, but it's certainly not going to remind you of home.
I think part of it, though, is that I think your argument relies on the fact that there's a level of a point to where a stage matters.
Yes.
And I think that works to an extent, but there's also the difference between main season and finals. Yes. Right? Like, there's a difference between fall, autumn finals, whatever the fuck. The
regular season and playoffs for you sports
playoffs into
people
worlds.
Out there. You're normal people.
Playoffs into worlds, and then the fall split last year, like, completely different. The meta at playoffs was a far cry from the meta during the fall split.
Sure, and there's 2 reasons there.
One of those was Soul.
Yeah, there's 2 reasons there.
Soul was good.
Yeah, we introduced a new god, and I mean,
she was pretty decent.
Lands create their own sub-meta.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But, you know, and at the end of the day, maybe you're not pulling it out for the land game, right? Maybe you're saving it for that, all right, it's the last week of the season when we have to beat a team to keep our seed, right?
Yeah.
It can stay in the regular season. My point is that scrims are more experimental than not, from what I anecdotally have garnered from players. And then at the end of the day, you're going to play a lot differently in the SPL than you are scrimming.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is because you're scrimming against your direct fucking opponents. We don't have a team like Team Liquid.
Part of it is
Team
also
Liquid in League of Legends has a football squad. They have they have
Farm
a
league?
they have a 10-man roster.
I don't know
and
if they
they
still do that. They
they
did that
play
play
against each
season.
other.
Do they still do that?
Ask
Because
them
like
more.
I know I Will Dominate at least like is not like they went into the season with a 10-man roster
Yeah.
and then like it disappeared.
Right, but
See, that's always weirded me out too.
Yeah.
Because so there's always been like multiple different strategies across like top teams
Yeah.
in every single game, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like when I played, like in Halo 2, we only scrimmed against teams like 9 through 16.
okay.
Right.
And the reason we did that is so you can work on the normal mechanics and try different strategies, and then you can kind of gauge it that way. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
if I normally beat this team like 500 points to like 200, and then we try something new,
Yeah.
and we beat them by like 500 to like 150, it's like, okay, there's drastic improvement,
Something's working,
right?
Yeah.
Whereas other people were like, well, we're already really good, and we're not going to change too much, so we just need to make sure that we stay our level at a mechanical skill and just play people out against the top.
Just for that, like reps in the gym.
Yeah,
type
just,
thing.
Yeah.
like, which is kind of more like Panthera Fanatic, right?
Sure.
Where I personally never understood that because it was like, why not just try a bunch of janky stuff and work on like the actual mechanics of the game and like you as a teammate, right? Because like, and maybe MOBAs are completely different, right? And obviously they are because rotations at some point just become
I think your experience
just.
I think your
I think
experience
also part of it
translates
is that
to everything.
like in Smite, a few times there have been teams that find perfect scrim partners. Eager Envy before the end of the fall split.
Cog and Cog Red.
Cog and Kara is a perfect example. Because they get to the point where, like, according to Omega, before Season 1 Worlds, they tried every invade except for, like, one. And that was the invade that they pulled out in the Cog Red match to win the invade, right? Or whatever. Like, so... yeah.
Side
I mean,
note.
there's a level of gaming there.
See,
but
that
like,
one would like, dude, making that call.
But like trying
That's a hard call.
everything, trying everything, and like going through all these different variations and like establishing your own meta with another team is another really good option if you've got that perfect scrim partner. Then the problem is you like get mad at each other or like any drama or anything. The moment that relationship breaks, both teams are fucked.
Exactly, because then you start to. And Matt Yankee says in chat that usually there's days that everybody's just sort of testing weird shit, but then 2 days before the SPL, it's really buckle down time, and you just sort of like simulate the game.
Yep.
And simulated games.
Well, part of that is, I mean, you
Work
can win
decently.
games entirely off of running your railroad better than they run their railroad, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like your
That's
first five.
That's
first
game
10
design
minutes-
speak.
First 10 minutes, there's like a thing in the meta that you're supposed to do, and you just do it more precisely. And so you get to the mid-harpy 2 seconds sooner, and because of that, you're able to invade on their blue buff, and because of that, their soul later is fucked, and then you win. Like, you can win a lot of games doing that.
Sure. I mean,
Panthera basically has done that.
I mean, Panthera wins their games just by generally being better than whoever they're fighting.
Yeah, and honestly,
big
I
thing,
think if you're not, like, and this isn't like a F.U suck thing, but like if you're not looking for it, a lot of times that's what a better railroad play will look like.
Sure.
It's like, I don't know why they're better, but they just won.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no.
That's very, very true.
There's definitely a distinct difference between better choreography and just better execution.
Sure.
And a lot of times they are in that middle of that Venn diagram, but they do exist on other sides. And a lot of times maybe the choreography is better from Team A or Team B, or maybe they just got outplayed during their choreography, right? So like, what's up?
I was thinking we should get back on
I retweeted the tweet.
and talk about Dig.
Dig.
Yeah.
This is why you don't host shit, man.
Last and Zapper back together?
No, the other Dig.
I know.
Sure.
Someone had to do it.
We're gonna hard. That's DM does that.
I mean,
all the
you
frickin'
asked
time.
me a question,
DM does it all the frickin' time. Where I'm just like, oh, in this particular situation, in my opinion, that's the best. And then it'll be silent for a moment, and he'll be like, the best is on Eager. And I'm like, dude, shut up. And he's just like,
Yeah.
you're just in denial. I'd be like, man, I am going to put a... Okay, I don't give him as easy low-hanging fruit as Mace in the face, but Brandon does that all the time. And then, like, I'll try to give him one back. I'll be like,
And then
yeah,
he
well, you're going to get
respects it.
caged like Odin. He'll be like, dude, that just sucked. And I'll be like, yeah, dude.
Yeah, you're right.
All right.
You're right. That was bad.
Yeah,
I'm not that lame. And to be fair, that's lamer than my lamest examples. That's just all I had swimming around in there. That's all I had locked down.
I did hear the best on Eager this weekend.
Well, I mean, you gotta... So, I mean, that joke is older than, like...
Oh,
the best is on Dignitas. Like,
he was pre, right?
That was curse. That was a curse joke.
yeah, the best is like before, like a year before
Bart did
launch.
that.
Yeah. That was like Bart 2013 going. Nah, you're not the best. The best is on tonight. I fucking what Cars Gaming, whatever team he was on, and he'd be like, "Oh, Bart, you're so funny, you little piece of shit." Right? Like that's generally how you
I can
interact
see
with
that.
Bart.
Yeah.
Generally,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, Bart.
Who was even on Dig now? I don't think I caught one of their games this year.
Dignitas is European, so Dignitas is Shadow Nightmare, who is
Okay.
Shadow
Mid
Nightmare.
laner.
Shadow Nightmare,
right?
Yep.
one of the best mid laners in the world, and I don't know if
Oh,
that's-
he finally,
love him so- you love
he
him
finally
so much.
crossed that
No,
bridge.
he's just in
no.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know if
Because for a
that's,
while, you're like, I kind of vaguely remember, he's like mid-tier kind of guy.
yeah. See, I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not, but if you watch with like Kaleidoscope vision, right? You
Well, Kaleidoscope would be all kind of fucked
Yeah,
up.
that'd be really fucked.
that's what I always see.
That's
We-
really bad.
We had a
Yeah,
fan
that's-
request. We had a fan
that explains
ask
your
about the
casting.
spring fling. If wait,
Yeah, he's gonna call me bald.
we had a fan.
I'll be there in 2 years, man.
We had a fan request for the spring fling that our casters did mushrooms before we casted SPL games. I was like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, that really doesn't sound good.
There's a Jean Quill. There's a Jean Quill. I'm running out.
There's like there is very few things you can do before you cast, and
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, a Red Bull
Is
is like
salvia
enough.
still legal?
Oh yeah, of course.
is what?
Salvia.
That would be a fun picks and bans.
Well, it's like 5 minutes,
Yep.
right? So
Picks
like,
and bans.
All right, so Dignitas is selecting their first god.
I am
It's
the
something that
couch.
wants to eat me. I am mayonnaise. French horn fandango. And everybody, what the fuck? Like, I don't think you would actually want
Why
that.
is that funny?
But so Shadow
Oh,
Nightmare,
Dead.
if you watch him with tunnel vision, let's
thank
say,
you.
right?
Also, I need to see who's on the team.
If you watch, he is just one of the better mid laners. His positioning is on point, and a lot of his failures have come from the people surrounding him. Whether it's his current team or otherwise, he has been in a situation.
Oh, Rins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And so
Wait, what? Sun Touch?
yeah,
Yeah. Team's like not bad.
this
Oh,
team
yeah,
is
that's
in
right.
play.
I saw that he went Guardian.
And so
What lane does this asshole not play?
Solo.
me and Krett have been.
Yep. We've been waiting, dude.
I have a huge bingo card in my trunk right now that says all of the roles Santos has played. And the minute homie plays solo in the SPL,
bingo.
we are having a bingo party.
That's right.
We're actually gonna put a decoration in Krett's house. We'll
Yep.
put streamers up. Like that'll be the beast.
It'll be the
That's
best.
really what I'm
Yep.
saying.
Okay, side tangent here, just because I'm seeing a name that is triggering 2014 to me. So, season 1 Smite, right? SPL. It was Raffer was with Sayo, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And he was a jungler. Yep,
Yeah.
with Sayo.
Mustache.
And Sayo's
Yep.
biggest problem was that
His mustache.
Well, no. His biggest problem at the time was that he just could not perform at lane.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yep.
He was the classic case of a head case.
Yep.
Yep.
But Frostiak, this is the guy who brought out like Ymir Jungle,
Yeah,
right?
he did. He Ymir
Yeah.
jungle.
He's the Ymir jungle.
All right.
He's the
Yep.
Ymir jungle.
So I just need to paint that picture because I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Ymir Jungle.
Yeah, no, that's
but
Ymir
like, and then I remember you saying Raffer was like the Ymir. I was like, ah, shit.
No,
Yep.
Raffer's
Who
the
was it?
support Ymir.
Yeah,
Right.
he
Raffer's
never
the
did the
support.
jungle
He-
Ymir.
he-
But I had to
In
clarify
fact,
that
Raffer
because
did
of
the
seeing
opposite.
Frostiak, yeah.
Raffer's first week on support, he tried to play Thanatos support.
Yep.
That's...
How we have come a long way.
You remember the Thanatos ADC?
I try not to.
Hey, oh no! Here's my favorite one today, and I always take the shot
Call
every
it.
single time. Is you remember beginning of season 2, little guy, glasses, relatively new to Smite, name was Gandhi. Not a little at the time maybe. He goes, yeah, I'm surprised Giannis shouldn't be first pick, first ban. I mean, he's got a lot of mobility. He actually has an insane amount of burst damage, and he gets it all off even with CDR. And everyone going, but it's like inconsistent damage.
Oh my god! I fucking
You remember that?
I fucking.
You.
So this is
It
the
wasn't even that hard.
the mouth the mouths of babes, right?
Imagine, dude, and like Hades was another one.
Yeah.
If you go back and you look at like the changes, like I'll never forget because I was casting and I was like, it was like season 1 when he got late season 1 when he got nerfed, and I was like, why are we nerfing Hades? Like he doesn't even get played in competitive, and then he got played in season 2. if you look at the numbers that Hades was doing in season 1, dude, he should have been in like every game.
Well, I mean,
he one-shot people.
Here's the thing. The mouths of babes. When you come into Smite, you are so... You don't know what's meta. You don't know what's right, what's wrong. And I mean, right now, hunters are the perfect example. Almost every single hunter is viable, but we see the same shit because that's what we see.
AMC. You will be played.
Stop.
Barracuda will do it.
I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
Barracuda's going to do it, and he's going to buy Frost Iron Hammer.
And to be fair, people said Artemis wasn't gonna get played. And my girl shredded.
My point is, when you don't have that Kool-Aid or whatever the fuck you want to call it of the rest of the scene, when I was fresh and new, right, I took a moment to say I don't know shit. And then you sit in that mid-range where you think you know the game, but you're aware that you don't know it at the top level. And you start to think, why don't we see this shit?
Right.
Hercules was my Giannis. Where I sat there going, what? Hercules has mad displacement, and he just can't be killed late game. Why don't people play Hercules? And the answer every time was, his damage is hard to confirm.
No.
Season 1 was?
No.
I don't know.
The setup is hard to confirm damage off of. You compare Hercules to a tier, Fearless is nice and slow. Fearless is underhand. Driving Strike is overhand.
Yeah, definitely. Sure.
You're on a wall, Kraken, right now, you missed it, you fucked.
But just there is a level of expectation.
There is.
Of the professional level. Like, it's really hard to shoot a three-pointer.
Part of it...
But if you're going to be on the goddamn NBA team, if that's your role, you're expected to do it. If your role is solo lane, you're expected to be able to pilot that god. And for the longest time, people said, no, F. You're lit. You don't know what you're talking about. And then finally, people were like, we can actually do this. And then Hercules saw his time in the sun, where he was the best goddamn god in the world, and nothing was changed.
So, part of that is skill investment. All right? You've got characters that are harder. And I don't know if this is a thing in Halo, but I feel like it probably was at some point, right? Honor is really hard. Mm-hmm. He can do a lot of good. He's very strong in certain situations, but he's really hard. And in the time that you can learn, or the time you invest to play Honor at a competitive level, you could also have two gods.
I understand what you're talking about. Can we agree to call it the Vulcan syndrome instead of the
totally.
Honor syndrome?
Sure. The point is that, someone has to prove that they're good.
Yes.
And for Janice, it was Mace of the Face who was like, look at what this fucking character can do, and everyone was like, well, fuck, we have to learn.
I mean, Pretty Prime does it with Vulcan, and then everybody tries Vulcan, and it doesn't work. Yeah. And then Pretty Prime just goes, meatball, basic, backfire, basic,
right, and then eventually people are like, fuck, I have to play Vulcan. And then they play it, and they catch up, they're fine.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny how a lot of times is that you just get these thoughts, as you said, the fresh minds don't have this tinge.
Actually, you know what? People said that about Cirquette, too.
Exactly. Cirquette.
They were so fucking wrong.
She did. She was a little janky on release, though.
Yeah,
remember there was the weird setup time on Ambush.
Yeah, it was weird.
She still would have been fine.
Yeah,
she still would have been
fine.
I'm sure she would have, but in the sense of feel. I mean,
part of it, and Janice did get his two shoved together more, and he got the movement and all, which I still think he shouldn't have.
But those were game-changing changes. You could have still played Cirquette as she was.
Yeah.
And
you probably still could have played Janice.
And that's a prime example of just new guide come out. She seems too hard. Thor! Like that, we have so many players, and that's why I get excited when I see new rookies in the league specifically, because they're more willing to go the extra and like Matt Yankee, perfect example, built Devo gloves on Apollo.
Boy, you're not supposed to do that. Wait, Dark Dodo did too.
That's who I saw on.
That's the build that I prefer. I like that build.
Well, so
I like Devo gloves because you're making so much use of your basic attacks that you're actually getting.
Dark Dodo did in the solo lane.
Yeah.
Right?
So the reason Dark Dodo did in the solo lane is because he's against Shock.
Yeah.
So Throwing Dagger is not going to help you against Shock. You're still under tower. You're just under tower without sustain. Mm-hmm. So get some fucking sustain.
But also, it's like Apollo in the solo lane, the lane that gets the most farm.
Right.
Right. Like if you can get away with it.
And he did.
You just throw your carry in there.
So Matt Yankee, perfect example, and it's just this is so much less whether or not you think Devo Gloves is the right build, and just more the fact that it existed.
Yeah.
He's the newer guy on the scene, right? And Matt Yankee played for I don't give a shit. He's the newer guy on the scene. He has the balls to take out a build of his very own.
But
He's not
you
copying
play for
every.
Elevate.
Sure, he's not copying every other Hunter build out there like everyone does.
Yeah.
He doesn't just log on to twitch.tv/Zap55 and then copy what's on the screen.
Actually, you type exclamation mark build. You do that. Yeah.
And my point is, he was willing to go out there and just think outside the box. A lot of the pros, and this is, it's less a knock at the pros that don't do it and more praise at the pros that do, because it's just, it's hard. It's your livelihood, and if you lose while trying something out,
It sucks.
You're-
And your
that's
team's
your
going to be
bad.
like, dude, what are you doing?
that's suboptimal. Why are you doing that? It's proven. There are things that are proven. Things might be better than those other
And
things.
to be
but
fair, though, there's also traps there.
Well, so-
if you go too far, then sometimes
Well,
you end up doing something fucking stupid.
Sure, I'm not like
Yeah.
be innovative. Don't play Thanatos support like you're fucking Iraffer. But so like my point is there is
Funball would do it too.
like
Herc.
Serket came out and nobody played her because like I said, Thor is good enough. Why? At what point, from a player's perspective? I mean, I guess they didn't do like introduce new guns or whatnot, but like, at what point is it worth it to like think outside the box versus the tried and true stuff?
I think that really comes down to, it takes a lot of self-reflection, right? You got to say, okay, where am I at in relation to everyone else? And if you're at the top, you're like, yeah, we can probably experiment with things, but like, shit ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Let's just stay hammering away, which is one of the things that I saw kind of went on with the League of Legends, where the meta shifted towards the end, and carry tops were no longer a thing, and I don't really watch League of Legends, but it was like, you know, the meta drastically changed, and like a team's just couldn't adapt. But like, I think the teams who are in like the middle and like are really good at self-reflect can say, okay, you know what, like this shit isn't working for me, right? And I don't even think Cyclone was that way. I think Cyclone kind of fell into it.
Sure.
Like he just ran straight into the door like a dog with a glass door, right? He was just like, you know what, I really kind of suck with warriors, right? And everyone does this, so I'm gonna play alone. And because, fuck. You know what I mean? I really think it just comes down to, this is my role, I gotta make it work, how do I make it work? Okay, let's try this.
Yeah.
Part of it is also when someone just proves it, right? Like,
That's true too.
when someone's like, look at what I can do in Janus, or another example, Season 1, Lasses had a terrible tier, and like, it was shown in a game and everyone was shitting on people with tier, so like, the next game he plays, best tier in the world.
We'll never forget that moment.
Yeah.
We'll never forget it, where I just said, listen, this tier jungle is just not going to work for Lazarus
God, it
ever.
should work though. I tried it the other day.
No, it's
and
great.
Like
It's great.
so hard.
I'm talking about watching Lazarus when he fed on that character.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And then the literal next game, you want to talk about the improvement of Matty Pocket? The next game, Lazarus came out and instantly locked tier as their first pick and carry.
To be fair, that's also just Lasses.
That's true.
Season
Exactly.
2, you know what god we couldn't get into fucking play? Poseidon. He's just like, I don't want to play Poseidon. And you know what he did for the rest of the season? He carried on Poseidon. Like, that's
Lazarus had some of the most intelligent whirlpools.
Yeah, he's
The most intelligent
very good at
whirlpools.
that character.
I love
I'm
that
waiting
kid.
for Poseidon to come.
I love that kid.
I really like Lazarus a lot. I'm really happy for his team allegiance.
Let's talk about the kit. That's
Yeah.
a good guy too, though.
Sure. What kid? He has a
Kit.
Poseidon.
K-I-T.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said I love that
His
kid.
abilities.
I thought you said I love
Yeah,
that
dude.
kid.
Both
I was
of them.
like, I mean, Lazarus
He's
is a
like-
kid.
he's
That's
Yeah.
gonna do that too.
I mean,
I can't believe he still has it at his age. It's like,
Yeah.
shit.
Is that real? Is that real?
I don't know.
If you're playing,
I was like 15, 16, 17, 18. BAM!
Yeah.
is that real?
It was what? Really?
Because
I think it
like
is.
getting old and because I mean like man like you look at Counter Strike like sure if you want to talk about like
Twitch shooters, absolutely.
that's if you want to talk about like Quake and like fucking arena shooters sure you got to be like in the incubator to be the best.
I
I
think
get that.
Smite has enough of that
But,
it's a factor.
I mean you get Counter Strike players in their 30s man that are still crushing it man. I don't think that it's as simple as that. Baseball, specifically pitchers, need to have some of the highest reaction times and, more importantly, like small, like motor skills is what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. And Jamie Moyer pitched until he was fucking 50. Right. It's all about technique and small things like that. And like there are fat dudes in baseball, so it's not about your body. Right. It's about your technique, your motor skills, and your attention to detail. Like,
I don't know if it's a fair comparison to sports, though.
Yeah.
And the reason why I don't think it's a fair comparison to sports is baseball hasn't changed
Yeah.
in shit ton of years, right? It's not like they're shortening the gap between where the pitcher is and the plate or extending it. You know what I mean?
We do that every year.
Yeah. The only thing that changes is like, oh, you're at Wrigley Field now? Yeah, well, you got to deal with this bullshit, which drives me nuts and how that's a professional sport.
I actually like it.
Fucking ludicrous.
It's like golf.
That's like going, okay, you know what? You're playing in North America, it's Joust 3v3.
That's like going, okay, welcome to COD Worlds. We have 3 separate fucking game modes to do.
4.
Shut up.
Uplink, dude.
Depending on it. But no, that's a part of it, though.
Sure. That's a part of baseball. That's a part of golf.
Yeah, but it's not.
The map changes. It's a part of Smash Brothers. The map changes.
Yeah, and so when you only play again, the difference is those maps you can play every single day, whereas the San Francisco Giants aren't playing in fucking Wrigley every day.
No.
They're not. They might visit it once.
Sure.
And then they're like, oh, it's the World Series. Like you remember when NHL actually had the rings were different for different people, and the Detroit Red Wings actually had a certain post on each side where they practiced shots that bounced off to go right in front of the net.
That's cool.
And then like 2 years later, they're like, no more of this.
Yeah, this is fucking stupid.
They just patched hockey.
So
like fuck that.
Yep.
My point being is that Counter-Strike, and maybe Counter-Strike's more of a fair point
because
to make, and League of Legends is because the things have been relatively the same, and I think Smite's the same, but I think Twitch shooters, when I look at like Halo, I mean, one of the big things is like, you know, a different game comes out every single year. Same with Call of Duty, so you might be right.
Sure.
Yeah, I could see it. For sure.
Like everybody sits there and goes, "Oh man, you know, he's 17 years old. He's too old to play the video games," and I just go. No.
It also depends on like what real life shit you got going on too.
Sure, and that has less to do about age and more to do about circumstance. I think realistically speaking, and this is something that I would love to like. I want to go pay some like scientists to study it. Realistically speaking, I don't think
He's a psychologist, probably.
I don't think there's like a huge. I don't think you need like the absolute Twitch reaction times for depending on the game.
Let's stick to what we know. Last is getting old, right? And he's still killing it.
And he's still killing it. And that's like prime point. And maybe they're outliers, right?
Yep.
Maybe the Counter.
Well, there's always going to be.
Yeah. There always will be.
Allied retired at 25.
Allied could have still played if he wanted. He just didn't want to. Yeah.
Allied's been like nearing gaming retirement for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
He's been on the cusp.
I think he just kind of lost the drive.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's the real thing.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. Lass gets it back every season, and that's something that you see in the way that his team plays. I think this role swap is huge for them.
This role swap is the biggest deal for all
First of all, because like
also
he's an
fuck you for not telling anyone
what
inside of High Res that was happening.
I didn't know it.
Horse shit.
I found out the day I got to fucking work.
You're a crock of shit.
No! Are you joking? I gotta pester these admins, and the admins didn't even know until they played the game. They had to tell us right then and there.
I just wanted a heads up.
Me too! I actually do game prep. I sat there going, Dare to Care's last 3 gods were these. He didn't do well. What can he do to turn around? I went back to season 2, looked at the gods Dare to Care played in the jungle to see what he would fix. Were there any outliers? I put 45 minutes into that game alone, and then they go, oh, by the way, they role swapped, and I went like this with my fucking show notes. And I just threw him at Krett. Like, that's what happens. I was so mad. They throw away my show notes. But, like, you know, they didn't know either.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how that happens. But realistically speaking, is that the one I have my date on?
Yeah, that was one you had your date on.
Damn it. Yeah. I can do it without dates.
The next thing you're doing is patch and then Sky.
I can do it without dates. Just big picture status. When was the last time Dare to Care was realistically, puts something on your mantle successful? You can talk about how good he was as a player. I don't care. When was the last time Dare to Care brought something home?
I think you're trying to say never.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to say when he was on COG playing support. When was the last time Glazes brought something home?
COG didn't win.
They were still a lot more successful than Eager was. Sorry.
I'd say Dignitas.
Sure, no, even still. What did he play on Dignitas at the start? He didn't start
support. Yeah, no, I don't like your argument.
What are you talking about?
Eager versus C9 was
what are you talking about? Of course you like my argument.
No,
it's the best one.
No. Eager versus C9 was by far the best game of the playoffs. That should have been the finals.
Sure.
Like, Dare's jungle is really good.
And I've sat on many different shows and sat here saying Dare to Care's jungle is one of the best and it's one of the most underrated gods that I've played in the game.
I will agree with you that he is an incredible support player.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the thing that I'm not sold on is Incon and mid. Still
Maybe
not sold on it.
No.
Never been sold on it. Anytime he's done it,
Same.
I believe in him, but I'm not sold yet.
But I don't give a shit because the other two guys are more than qualified.
So statistically, Season 1, Jungle Lasses. If Dignitas gets 7 kills on him, they win.
And that's what Lasses does.
They win.
And that's what Lasses does. That's what Lasses does. And this is my point. What I was originally saying was the last time Dare to Care was, and I don't want to say relevant or successful, but the last time Dare to Care did
was a superstar.
What was a superstar was when he played support on Dignitas or COG or whoever.
I want to say COG.
The last time Lasses was super successful, bringing something home, was when he was playing jungle for Dignitas.
Yep.
These are the roles that the players. Lasses started at mid. I totally get it. Dare to Care, I don't know where
he started in jungle.
Sure, yeah, he started in jungle. I get it. There's legacy there, but they were more successful in these two positions. Forget about Incom for a second. They have been more successful in the jungle and the duo lane for Lasses and Dare to Care respectively than they have been their entire time this last year in different positions.
Not by much.
Dignitas won every fucking thing they looked at, came in second at PAX.
Dude, like, you don't understand how good Eager is. Like, holy shit.
I get it. I get it. Didn't show up where it counted.
Yeah, totally.
And that's my
but
point.
that doesn't change. That doesn't change because the problem with this roster is that they're inconsistent.
I mean, yes
and they're
no.
still inconsistent.
Yes and no, but the point is they beat Envy. They beat Envy, and they didn't beat Envy off of mistakes. They beat Envy.
Yeah,
They
but that's my
beat
point. Like, that's totally expected with a team that is explosively inconsistent.
And that's that's their identity.
I don't think you can argue that this roster change will be a big difference. It might be the better version of Allegiance.
I'm tilting off the planet
but
right now.
for these players, I don't think it's necessarily just gonna make them better.
I think it already has.
No.
I think watching Lasses play was just better.
Dare to Care's play on Eager and Lasses' play on Eager in mid and jungle was the best they have ever played because the game and the precision required has evolved over the years.
Okay. Keep going. I'm following you down this road.
Like, Fall Split Playoffs, that game against C9 was, up until that point, in my opinion, the highest level of Smite that had ever been played.
I will tentatively agree with that.
That's the point. So while Dare to Care has been incredibly successful as a support, and Lasses has been incredibly successful in the jungle, and I have no doubt that they will continue to be super good, what I am objecting to is that this is somehow turning over a new leaf for them as players.
No.
I don't think it is.
It's less.
I don't think it's making that. I don't think it's taking an 8 to a 10 or a 9 to a 10. I think it's just better for the team.
I think it's returning to the 10 that they previously were. I don't think it's turning over a new leaf. I think it's turning over the same old leaf that they started at. Because if you take a look, you can look at it. Like you said, Dare to Care played phenomenally in the jungle, and that match between Cloud9 specifically was a very, very high moment for the level of competitive Smite. But if you go back and you look at the games, they played very well. Good for them. Did they fucking win anything? No. And the point is,
I don't think that matters in terms of level of play.
I agree. I agree.
Like in Smite, it consistently hasn't.
I agree. I'm not one of those dudes that say Charles Barkley sucked because he has no rings. I completely agree. But what I'm getting at is that,
I'm that guy.
inconsistent or not, these players wound up being consistent enough in those roles to bring something home. Whether it was a second place or you know what I'm saying? No.
Actually, no. Okay, so
Dignitas
Big Smite
ran the game.
No.
For years.
But they didn't win.
fun.
But they didn't actually win, right? Big Smite tournaments. PAX East, Curse Gaming, not Lasses.
Sure.
Next one, Launch.
It really
TSM,
is.
not Lasses. Not
Sure.
there.
Number 2 at launch.
Yeah.
Number 2 at launch.
Right.
That counts. That's
Right,
good.
right,
That's
right,
good.
right.
That's good.
Sure,
That's good. That's good.
Sure.
Eager wasn't number 2. That's
They
number
were
2.
effectively number 2. There is absolutely no way you can ever convince me that Enemy was better than them. They flat out worked.
It's not
they
about
had a
being
better
better.
bracket.
It's about their
Numbers don't matter when you're talking about player skill, dude.
But
What was the best matchup at Worlds?
You're less talking about player skill, and you're more talking about the ability to win.
But that's different. That's different because the ability to win is dependent on brackets. The ability to win is entirely dependent on who you're going with.
Metagame. There's a
No.
lot of
Like,
it.
all right, listen. What was the matchup that caused Panthera to win Worlds? C9!
C9, I guess.
Yeah,
C9
it was an Enemy. Like, Enemy was good, but they were not the finals. They were the semifinals out of order. Because that's just the way the brackets ended up. That's my argument. So, like, sure, they were technically number 3, but they played like number 2.
Okay. I like, sure.
I don't think the laurels of Laxus as a jungler and Dare as a support is significant in comparison to their laurels in their other roles. I think they have done equally well on both roles.
I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect their...
reinvigorates the team,
sure,
but I don't think it's a return to glory. I just think it's a necessary change. Like, change that reinvigorates, I don't think is different.
I'm not trying to diminish their time on Eager. I'm not trying to say Eager was bad.
And I'm not, like, offended by that. It might come off that way. I'm really not.
I mean, I'm not trying to shit in your cereal. Like,
No.
I blame it on the coaching.
Like, Eager
Yeah,
was...
I mean, me too.
Same. Like, Eager was very moderately lukewarm successful. Like, they played well, and I'm saying they, because I'm taking you out of the conversation. Right. They played well, they did all the things, they touched all the buttons, they, like, did well enough.
And and they didn't go to World.
Sure, and, like, call them number 2 or whatever.
Yeah,
Totally besides the point. Like, you just saw more tangible victories. Let's throw that out since you don't agree. But you also, I'm talking weeklies, bro. Dignitas won every fucking weekly before there was an SPL.
Yeah, they did. But the level of competition was not there.
Before launch tournament, they won every weekly tournament.
Who counts online events?
Yeah, exactly. And even then, if you want to talk about
no,
SPL,
like really good players, like really consider
and even
online
then,
events to be like the thing.
You can look at Eager's climb at the end of the fall split. Like it was just as strong.
I mean, the other way around.
but there was just and you know what? Throw all the stats away.
Yep.
Which hurts you, I know. Like I can see you like burning from. Throw the stats away. Don't look at any of this.
Okay, I wasn't gonna look at
anecdotal evidence. watching Lazes, watching Dare to Care. They look more comfortable.
They look
in
so much
roles.
better this season in those
and
roles.
When I first saw these guys ascend to greatness, Dare to Care was playing support. Lazes was playing jungle, and I'm only talking about them two. Incon's outside in a different conversation.
Yep.
These two guys ascended to greatness. I got to see these two guys play out of their minds. Lazes was one of the best junglers in the world.
Yep.
Dare to Care, same with support. And then they switch roles. Dare to Care performs at a very high level in the jungle. Lazes does so sometimes in the mid lane.
Sure.
You switch these roles back, all of a sudden they beat a number 1 team. Anecdotally,
They beat
something changed. Number 2, number 1, just because the team, with the way the bracket worked and the strength of schedule early in the league, that doesn't matter, they're number 1.
You walked right into that one, Don.
Alright, but either way, we agree that this role swap has completely reinvigorated Allegiance. They look amazing.
I think these
they
are
can do big things. The real question mark is still...
How good is Envy?
Well, that's one.
That's
the other one is Incon and Maddie.
Maddie's fine. I
mean, he got solo.
Like, I mean,
I got
from watching it, and this is more casual view. I mean, to take a lane against Omega and not feed your brains out is like
that's the test.
That's pretty much it. Like from everything that I've been around in Smite Esports, it's like, do you get farmed by Omega? Well, if you do, you suck compared to him. Yep. So you can't be considered in the top 3.
Exactly.
And if you beat him, well, then you're good.
Yep.
And I think that's, for me, what the big thing is. But I still just, I don't know, something about Envy.
I think the real test is, like, they passed their solo lane test with Omega. Now it's time to go up against Anister. Right?
Sure.
Like, that's the mid-jungle test.
I feel you. I feel you on that.
And how does Incon even handle Bush?
I don't know, man. I don't know
Like-
how
like-
we legitimately have no clue where Ingon's skill
Like,
ceiling permit is.
the people are so for allegiance. Like, if there's ever a noetic science study to be done here, is like, if allegiance wins, it's like, it's the power of the people. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, if they win,
totally.
like, based on what we know about these players and putting them up against, like, anyone on LG,
Yep.
right? You're taking LG. You just would.
Yep.
And that's not a shot to them. It's just, like, proven track.
It's
right?
and it's
Like, they want Allegiance to win so bad. And, like, Ingon just, he's got to step up to it.
Yeah,
And,
he
like,
really
that's, one, it's a lot of pressure. And two, and some people feed off the pressure, right? And then that's good. That's great to have that ability to.
That's what
I have to
Rafford
learn how to
does.
do
That's
that.
what Reels does.
You
A
gotta
lot of
learn how to
people
do
love that shit. They, like, a lot of the big egomaniacs actually just have, like, very vivid dreams of, like, the crowd chanting their name after they do a big play.
Yeah.
Like Ogre 2 was one of those players.
Yeah.
Like, he's super modest dude, but, like, I mean, he would envision.
Were you ever like that?
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing better, but,
You should play Solo Lane.
dude, I
That's
feed,
where all the egos live.
I feed so hard
on
in solo.
Xbox.
That's where all the ego. That's where all the egos live.
Dude, I just go mid, man. Mid's fun. Like, I always have a support.
You always have a jungler too.
Yeah.
You follow him around.
Yeah, and I'm just like, yo, let's just hang out, just slap hands.
We're gonna hit 40 minutes. I'm gonna press 4.
But I mean,
And if I did it in the right spot, we win.
And honestly, how funny is it that Nuwa actually, based on her minions, has a very specific playstyle that no other mage can do, which is a backline protect.
Yep.
Right? It's
Yep.
like, oh, you dove?
well, I mean, Agni can just go peace.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, but
it's true.
Agni cannot kill a warrior.
He can't. This
Nuwa.
play soldier.
Well, no. Here's the deal. Agni, Talcon's ring, demonic grip. He recently got a buff. His
He
attack
did.
speed went up to
You did get
1.
buff. Is this your segue?
I know I'm like crazy when I say AMC, right?
Right. Yep.
But like, to be fair, 20% slow on honey, level 5, like, you're no longer freehanding those stairs.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Those things are gonna hit.
Yeah.
But like, Agni with Talkines,
No,
man.
I'm.
That's
I'm.
some
I'm
shit.
Nuwa with
I'm
Talcons.
completely.
Nuwa with Talcons.
Oh,
Matt-
that's just
Maddie is not a concern
More
for me.
roots.
So I have been like all over the internet singing the praises of the Pickler. I am completely and utterly just impressed by what Maddie's been
I think
able
everyone
to do.
should be.
He went into solo lane. He went into solo lane in the open bracket part of relegation. Played
Yep.
Vamana and did it because he played Vamana.
Yep.
And then they banned
See?
Vamana.
See that? AMC OPM 121, baby.
And then they banned
yeah,
Vamana.
yeah.
And he was like, "Shit, I can only play Vamana."
It's the start of your army.
And then the next game, they were like, all right, now I can only play Vamana and Guan. Right? And then they banned Vamana and Guan, and he got shit on again.
Yeah.
And then the next time, he's like, now I can only play Vamana and Guan in a third character. And every single game, you watch Matty Pocket either learn a new god, learn how to rotate better, and you can, I love this, because you watch the VOD, and you go, Matty didn't rotate when the other guy did it at 16 minutes, so they lost the mid tower. Very next game, Matty rotates at 16. Like, you see it.
Yeah.
You get to watch Matty
Yeah.
fix his VODs. It's so impressive.
That's really cool.
It's so
That is
impressive.
actually cool.
I absolutely love it. Matty got soloed because he didn't ult in time with Vamana. Very next game, you're seeing him ult when he's 50% HP,
Yep.
and he's able to tank these team fights. Same as that, teleport rotations, exactly. You just get to watch
Pretty
Matty
cool.
improve. It's very fun. Allegiance, I'm only looking at income.
I have a question for you,
Yeah.
and I've never understood it in the history of Smite Esports.
Let's go.
But, and there's no sample size, but I guess it's really more of your opinion,
Sure.
and then we can segue it into, like, kind of what we think it would add.
That's his job.
What do you think a coach would add during a full game?
Okay, so the first thing... Actually,
Because
there's a sample
picks and
size.
bans is drastically different with a coach.
There is a simple size. Yeah, so picks and bans is like, that's obvious, right? It's
Yep.
like, you've got a guy with a notebook, and he's sitting there, and he can be like,
Notebook.
all right, guys,
Shut up.
they
dude,
gave
it's
us
an
the
iPad.
neath. They gave us the neath. We're not going to pick it here. We're going to pick something better, and
Right.
then we're not going to fuck
Yeah.
up like Fnatic against Enemy at Worlds. I'm still salty. In-game, at Gears of Fate, coaches
That's
were on
watched,
comms, and that was, I think it was me and like one other dude. I don't remember who.
Not
But
from Grand Theft Auto.
part of it is that you can do upkeep for your team. So
Sorry.
you can do upkeep,
Yeah.
right? So it's like timers, like, hey, can we invade their blue buff at 6 minutes? You can do reminders like, this guy's strong right now, do this. You can call for adjustments. I think overall it's beneficial, but there is the question of which teams actually have coaches.
Sure. A lot of I've spoken to a number of players about this because I think it adds an element that is a lot of fun to the game. I personally am a huge part of of having coaches involved. So when you take a look at what players actually have to notate, right? You gank mid lane. All right, we got beads we got purification on the jungle or sanctuary on the mage. They just put a ward down in the right side of the jungle. Your players can't keep track. Your coach can write that down. Beads 2 minutes. Jungle this ward here. Your coach can go, all right, there's a ward in the top left quadrant. You need to go ahead and use your sentry.
Or you can say something like, oh, we need Weakening Curse, we need Divine Ruin.
Yeah,
like, they're killing us with the heals, stuff like that.
Exactly, and that stuff is just sort of like supplemental in the sense that like it's hard to remember to buy Brawler's Beat Stick when there's like a Vamana on the team.
So the point that I was leading this into, which I can't show the stream this, but you guys can look at it here. But so back in Halo 2, so every weapon was on a dynamic timer, right? And so what ended up happening, right? Well, no. That was in Halo 1. Halo 1, it was static.
Yeah.
So there's drastic differences there. So static meaning that it's always every minute or 32 minutes. Dynamic meaning that upon it disappearing from the map, that it'll spawn from there. So when weapons used to go off the map, we always invested into a coach because it was like, oh, sniper's off, he clicks it, right? That's the exact same thing as beat. I mean, you're talking about 2 relics, that's 10 timers on this. I mean, that is a simple app. And if you guys just type in Halo 2 timer and then search as images, it's one of the first couple ones that you'll see in there. But, like, that is so simple, and having that would be so beneficial. Because it's like, yo, they're down.
Yeah, that's
and I honestly think, and this is just kind of more watching it, I'm not a pro or anything, right? But I feel like a lot of people are forgetting that, like, BH is 160 seconds, man. Like, we have a lot of CC, and we can confirm this CC, and they have some, but, like, if we get a good engage, like, we got this.
Yeah.
That's game. And I think a lot of it comes down to, like, the footsies between, like, the 30 and, like, 40-minute marks is so far what I'm seeing, right? If they're just like, oh, dude, beads are still down on, like, 3 people, and one of them's the carry. Let's blow them up.
There's also something to be said about the over-the-shoulder view, where I'm standing behind my 5 players, and my jungler and my solo are sitting next to each other, and Fenrir's like thinking about it. I can look at both screens and go, do it. Because I see both FOVs.
Yeah.
I can be like, no, he's too far. Like,
hopefully your cons are good enough to just do that naturally. And if they're not, it's your coach's fault.
Hopefully your cons are good.
Fair.
Hopefully your cons are good enough that you can already time the enemy.
No, it's not. Well, I mean, you can do it with like chat.
Like,
exactly. Shorthand.
People put it in chat. People put it in chat. But like,
and then their natural habits of them going to VGS and then it's erased after 5 messages.
But here's the beauty of it. Here's the absolute beauty of it. All of those brain cycles that players use to keep track of beads, wards, timers, cooldowns, ultimates, side things. All of those brain cycles can now be used just to execute.
Oh, the other thing that's really important is keeping your team on the same page.
Yeah.
So if you're a Scylla team, right? And the big thing we all know about Scylla is when you get Crush 2 and Dog 2, whatever one is. Sikkim, yeah. And when you get both of those max, you get that power spike from the magic power.
Dog.
That's your thing, right? So, like, you can have a coach just be like, wait till our mid's level 14. He's not level 14. Don't fight. Okay, we're level 14. Let's do this.
Exactly.
Let's do that. And, like, some shot callers will do that, but not everyone. Not all the time does your support have time to think about what level their mid is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very...
I think it would be a drastic change.
Yeah.
I think you would see a lot of teams who suffer from poor shot calling, like, excel.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, you take away all the thinking. And, like, the players don't actually have to do that much thinking, right? It's like, oh, I don't have to worry about when FG was taken? Great.
Exactly.
I'm just AFKing. I'm completely tunnel visioned into this game. I am now a robot controlling a mouse and a keyboard.
Exactly.
I'll do this. And then the players who also can't call... So this was the big one. The big one that you see in like FPS scene is like players just don't call out, right?
Yeah.
And well, some players won't.
Sure.
And so really, it's 4 monitors, and depending on the setup, it might be like this big, about this table, or it might be a little bit bigger. So if a person goes AFK, and you can't screen watch them, right? Like, there's no communication. Whereas good players are like, hey, I'm pushing up to ping 2, I'm going top middle, and then it's like a constant narrative of where you're going and how it's going to be. And it's very similar to like how Jungler used to be when he wasn't just sitting in mid, like all the game. He was like, yo, I'm going to meet you at mids at 3 minutes, I'm going to grab blue, right? If your jungler isn't doing that, or if anyone isn't doing that, right? Like, the coach is just like, yo, just call out for him.
Yep.
And, like, that coach
Or
is more valuable
questions.
than anything else.
Exactly.
Or asking questions like, wait, where is their jungler? We lost track of it.
Oh, that's a good point, too.
And like, just asking where is their jungler, that can save a game. Because then your ADC's like, wait a second. I don't know where the jungler is.
I probably shouldn't jump into this wave.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then they jump in anyway.
I think in general, if we add a coach to Smite in the full game, which is something that I am a proponent for, I personally love the idea, the overall player skill will improve.
Yep.
And the overall talent level of the game will improve, and it will just be beneficial for
I would agree.
And then next up
in
is
general.
tactical bosses.
Sure. Stop. I'm so glad you're on Paladins.
I'm not doing that bot AI.
Yeah.
But like, I just
nightmare,
we see these plays from honestly teams like Cringe Crew and Panthera because they have Emilzy and Raffer.
Yep.
And Emilzy and Raffer right now are too good at the game to take out. But in the event that they fall off, those guys are like, I am
100%.
immediately calling them up to be my coach.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They're the ones because they're the ones that do that. We saw Panthera do the old like I'm gonna put the regular ward down and hide behind the corner and then jump them at 5 when they come to inevitably clear the ward. Yeah. Like we see the 16-minute group up. We see these like literal playbook plays.
Yeah.
Right where they go, all right, we're gonna go blue 32 set, kill the jungler. Right, like they actually do that.
Sure.
If every team is a coach, every team is doing that.
Well, and the ones who aren't, I mean, it adds a lot of talking points, right? It's like, this team needs to fire this coach. Like, this coach isn't bringing anything.
Yeah.
Or these players don't trust in this coach.
That's why
Right?
that's why I'm excited for Fnatic with Toli. Toli Anatoly is coaching Fnatic now, and Toli has always been that cerebral mind. He's always thought about the game in that way. He's going back before I was involved with Smite. He did a thing called Tea Time at Toli, where he would just take the Pro League games, the weeklies at the time, and just like break them down from the top down. And like that's what you need your coach to do. He'd say, hey, this invade was the reason they won, blah blah blah. He's able to do that with Fnatic. They have 2 new players. He's able to bring them all together, and I think he's a part of why they might be successful this season.
Yeah.
And if you're able to have that coach in the conversation during the entire game,
Totally.
all of a sudden, enemy doesn't break up. Enemy that went to Worlds last year, whether or not you believe that they deserve to be in the finals or not, that team was definitely good enough to be on the platform. Whether or not the finals, different story.
Sure.
But my point is, that team broke up because Adjust doesn't talk ever, and Payne is not good enough at the game. Well, Payne's not good enough at the game because his mind is on calling, and Adjust wasn't good enough because he wasn't talking at all. If you have a coach in comms, Adjust is not a liability any longer because your coach is looking at Adjust stream.
Your coach is his job.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Every
calls out.
Every problem that Adjust had on enemy is now the coach's job, and it's not an issue any longer.
Yep.
You can be the silent savant that just hits your buttons while your coach is like, you go right, you go left.
And you want to talk about a dream for Cyclone.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yep.
That kid, like, probably some of the most raw talent we arguably have in this.
Except for Omega.
Sure.
I would...
Omega was forged
Like,
in the fires.
I look at, like, mechanics.
Oh, yeah.
You're like mechanically, right? Which is something we don't really throw around often in Smite.
Right.
It's like I always kind of judge Ullers,
Yeah.
right? Because
Same.
that's kind of like the dude, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Inster, mechanics of a god, adapting,
Yep.
Cyclone, right? And then that's just me kind of watching. I haven't watched them all 1v1 Uller, but I have watched Andy and I have watched Cyclone,
Yep.
right? And I have watched adapting just do things that I didn't even know were possible. So, like, if Cyclone can just be like, whoop, K-pop,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
just be like, okay.
You watch these fighting game dudes where it's just a single person team, and all the call outs that are happening are internal.
Yep.
It's all like, all right, I know he's going to attack me from the air all the time, so I got to watch out. Okay, he's going to L cancel on that ledge. I got to watch out for that. All that's in their head. They don't have to worry. They just you just sit there and go for it. Now, if you have somebody behind you doing that, like I said, Adjusta's still on the team. Payne's whole job of calling isn't his job anymore. He's able to actually play support, so he's not shit in the bed. All of a sudden,
you probably put Payne in the control.
yeah, that's what you do, actually. Realistically, you take Payne out of that lane, you put Payne in the coach role, you get a better support system, and all of a sudden, that enemy squad stays together. The only reason they split up, Vedium beefed with Payne because Payne wasn't good enough. They tried to replace Payne, didn't happen. Payne said, I'm going to stick here, so they go in two different directions. You take Payne out, you put him on the mic, you get somebody actually good at support, or better than in Vedium's words than Payne, all of a sudden you get a roster that fits together. They come into this split, whether or not you believe that they deserve to be at the finals at Worlds last year, by the time that team goes through spring and fall successfully, they wind up deserving to be at finals next year.
That's dope.
And that's it's, I want it so bad. Problem is, a lot of these, right now, you can't, you wouldn't be able to just implement something like that because not every team has a coach, and even the teams with coaches, not every team with a coach has a coach worth a shit. Sorry. Some of these dudes just go, they pick one, I'll type that into my Google Doc.
I don't know if that's a...
Yeah, it's
That's a real shit argument. Not to be that guy.
But, they'll get a coach.
But when you go, oh, well, not every team has a coach, it's like...
Evolve.
Not every team's in the pro league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, find one.
I don't know. That brings me back to,
You know what you do is you find the number one challenger team, and you take all those players for different teams. Say, all right, you're a coach.
Well, also, the other thing that's...
There's no challenger scene.
Call up young man.
Huh? The challenger scene is weak. There's not a single fucking team. Really? I don't know, man. We announced the Challenger Cup, and I'm very eager to see who signs up. But you used to be able to go because Krett and I worked the Challenger scene not last year but the year before.
Yeah, I remember.
And then you used to be able to go. All right, the Challenger scene. You don't need to know everything about it, but
you're gonna see Nanton and then Marauder.
You're gonna see Nanton, Marauder, Scream, Lou, Junipera. You're gonna see these people now. Well. Noble went to Xbox.
Enemy or they're on Xbox.
They went to Xbox. Yeah, that's what happens. When you're a top end challenger team, you either make friends with Payne or you go to Xbox.
Well, my boys eager farm.
Oh, dude, they crush.
Oh yeah.
Hard farm.
Yes.
And you're gonna see
And you know who's the
big
jungler? A challenger jungler.
and you're gonna see a big change as soon as it went the 60 FPS. I mean, everyone who's already playing is oh my god, dude! I'm hitting so many more autos, right? And you just don't ever even think about that.
Oh.
And during its development, I was I just remember I was playing a playtest, and someone was like, "How the hell are you hitting these?" And I was like, And then I really started thinking about it. It's just a smoothness factor, but dude, Air Cougar is such a beast, man.
Good old
that kid,
Fucking Cougs.
dude. I don't care about his PC pass, man. That kid is such
he's
a beast, dude.
I got benched for Air Cougar once.
And you for a team who hasn't really been tested, right?
Yeah.
Their only test was getting beat by Envy at the semis of Worlds last year, which was oh, congratulations! You beat a team who's been playing for 4 months so far competitively and been a month behind on the meta, right?
Yeah. Well, Eric Kelly stepping it up.
To see them everyday carry, worst name ever, Weekend.
Everyday Kelly.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's Chapo's name, not Weekend's name. That's Chapo's team, not Weekend's team.
Okay.
Weekend simply joined the squad.
Call it anything else, please.
Still a bad name.
Chapo vape team.
Yep.
Whatever it is.
I'm down.
We'll call it Team Chapo, right?
Yep.
But they threw game 2 so hard, but the ability to counter that and actually win that game is impressive in its own self.
Sure.
So I think teams are really sleeping on the console teams who are good, especially Eager. Eager's just that good. They're
the North American SCL, and I specify the region is just.
You have to.
NA is just better than EU in the SCL. Sorry, guys. But realistically, I get a lot of this when I'm doing first period or I'm streaming or whatnot. I constantly host the Xbox dudes because the Xbox dudes are the ones streaming and grinding at European hours. It's North American Xbox players, not European players, which is funny. But in any event, I'm constantly hosting Penny or Hotbo or
Hotbo
or Chapo recently, who's bought himself an Infinity off of his 4 months of streaming. Fucking go Chapo, man.
Yeah.
But in any event, it's always like,
Wait.
man, why would you watch these Xbox
Wait,
dudes?
like a Nissan Infinity?
Why would you watch these Xbox dudes play? Blah? The North American Console League, the SCL, is a lot of fun.
Oh,
They're
God, yeah.
damn good. And this whole idea of like Xbox versus PC, you're gonna see more Hades. That's the difference. Like that's the whole fucking difference.
Also-
and it's because of Dwarfed.
To be fair, Hades is still really good.
Yeah.
Also, in a game where early game is dictating the pace of things, God with a level 2 clear and the ability to never take damage probably wouldn't be that bad to draft on your team.
Probably wouldn't be bad.
Also, Wrath.
Stop.
I'm still pushing for it, man.
Stop.
Wrath and AMC are my 2 sleepers.
Wait, you mean Wrath on AMC?
No.
I think Wrath could actually be a sleeper.
Like, there's just something where I'm like,
3 gold fairies.
it's like 1,000. Like, as a designer, right? I'm like 1,000 damage
It's scary.
every 60 seconds.
That's the
And people, and one of the things, like when you're looking through Reddit and stuff like that, people are like, oh yeah, you gotta buff Wrath, and I'm like, I'll sit there and I'll think about things. I'm like, I guess I could give it like, if you increase the damage, and then it's like, well, you can't, right? Because like, what do? You make it 1,100. That doesn't change it because 15.
It doesn't
if
change
patch
until
notes
1,500.
reads Wrath damage increase from
1,000.
1,000 to 1,500, it's like, oh my
That's
fuck.
half a fucking gold fairy.
That's half.
But
Dude.
here's the thing.
You get 3
Like,
Wraths and you're set.
Right now,
A game that's early game with early push advantage, right? Like, grab Wrath. Like, yo, you know what works great with ISIS? Wrath.
Yeah.
No,
No, it works
the
great
opposite.
with Seared
The
Pain.
opposite. No,
Wrath.
no,
Like,
no.
yes,
You
dude.
don't need Wrath because you got ISIS, and that is the big thing. There are many different things that makes the meta ebb and flow, right? And part of that, Poseidon effect. Poseidon comes through the meta.
Yeah.
He becomes popular because people forget to fucking buy Aegis.
That's true.
And then after a while, they just go, wait a second. And they don't get Kraken, and then Poseidon leaves the meta, right? And this happens, it's been happening
Until
for
there's Naja Poseidon, and then you're in there and you
This has
can't
been
do it.
happening for 3 years, where, why don't we play Poseidon?
Yeah.
And then you murder people, and they Aegis it, and you go, oh, that's why we don't play Poseidon. The same thing happened. As soon as they removed Hand of the Gods, and it wasn't necessary, all of a sudden, compositions, they weren't drafted around objective secure, but you always, just like you make sure you have enough front line, you made sure you had objective secure. It came
Or
by way
at
of,
least enough that if they fought on the objective and they secured it, you could fucking kill them.
right, like, and it entered the conversation by way of gods like Isis, by way of gods like Poseidon, and that happened. And now,
But it's just extra confirmed, though, right? Like,
Yeah, it's
Kukulkan, like, Spirit of the Nine plus Wrath is like, I have to hit Gold Fury 3 times.
yeah, but so here's the deal. Kukulkan, I mean, Shadow Nightmare was picking him because of the objective secure early once Hog was removed. Now, people forgot about it. You can go ahead and buy Wrath, but you're like hamstringing yourself. Wrath is not as effective. It's not as effective late. It's just
it's not.
late game.
So in 25 minutes.
Sure. But so here's
The average game time is 29. That's not that real.
No,
unreal.
you're totally right. Wrath is less effective late than literally anything else minus a scout.
By the way, Sunder.
You're like awesome to the max. He comes into my
Also-
chat every day and he goes, buy the free Nemesis ult, and it's like never worth it. But my point being,
I love that.
you buy yourself a Wrath, you hamstring your late game,
It's also my
and
so like, trying to.
you can buy it right now, and you can go ahead and secure your objectives. And then people will Poseidon effect and go, I'm just going to pick X god that destroys
part
the
of the
objective.
problem
and
is
then you won't
also
need it.
that late game when you're doing the Fire Giant, your support is not on the Fire Giant.
Yeah, that's also very true. Who's on the fire giant? Your hunter? No, I need my my protective relics. You know.
I think Wrath could come in at some point. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Aurora ran like Wrath on Bacchus.
Sure.
Right? And you just like, oh, they're doing gold for you. Flop. Got it.
Yeah, right, yeah. Flop, intoxicate.
Already
Gee.
happened,
Whoops.
so.
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where even if it's purchasable, even if it does make a return, it doesn't stay there. I think it is something that, well, okay, you got Wrath now. We're just going to get mages that can do more damage than your Wrath or equal damage to your Wrath, steal your shit, and now you have one less active.
Actually, you'd probably just stalemate, is what you do. You just don't let them get
Yeah,
forever.
exactly.
Yeah.
You just put your dude there and go, hi, I have Wrath. Fuck with me, you know I got it. And they're just like, all right, fine, I won't do it. See you later. Like, well, go back to lane. I'm bad, right? Like, you
There's just times where I'm like, man, I kind of want to see. I just like,
Yeah.
it's bad because I'm the casual scum, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I want shock and awe. You know what I mean? Like, throw out AMC, give me Hades.
I'm not the casual scum, and I want the shot.
My girl.
Can we talk about the change to Chang'e right quick?
Okay.
My girl's good.
Is it enough to clear?
Yes.
Okay.
So basic abilities are
Well,
clear.
it's especially enough with Soulstone.
Yes.
She's good.
I want
She's great.
Battle Mage Chang'e. I want to see, and Fnatic has a double fucking header. I want to see Maniac bring Chang'e, build breastplate and mad tanky shit, and play that frontline healer. I want Chang'e Guan Yu. That's what I have always wanted.
I'm the exact
I
opposite
want
of
it.
that.
You want do more of Chang'e? You want like bang bang? Fuck that!
I want Soulstone, Clear Wave, Vamp Shroud coming in hot on Jade Rabbit.
Oh yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
True.
And like
I
go
like
back, full Doom Orb, and then sit in lane and be like,
You know, clumsy
Hey
too
man,
much.
no.
He
He
played
doesn't Chang'e, man.
Kiki played mid Chang'e.
Yeah.
And like, where's Nox? Like,
So Nox.
that girl has gone like the poor god, right?
MLC plays Noxish sometimes, kind of.
But like, have you played her like
She
against her?
is so fucking good in not Conquest.
No, even in Conquest she's good.
I think Nox is a fine character.
Well, I also suffer from like Kukulkan, Nox. Who's another one? Basically, anyone who like throws the thing that you shouldn't step into. I'm like,
Yeah, you step into it. Yeah.
so maybe it's just like exaggerated to me because I'm like, yo, what the? I press Y. I'm like, what is this bitch's numbers? And I'm like, oh no, I just suck.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I think Nox is definitely at bare minimum playable.
Yeah, she's playable.
Support Nox.
I mean,
fuck
part of it.
Support Nox, please, baby.
Why did we invite him? Support Nox?
Part
No!
of it is the intricacies of
Aurora
right?
busted out.
Like,
That's a big
like
deal.
her
Vulcan
one,
effect.
her one doesn't hit the wave, but it's the thing that's more confirmable than your two, so it becomes super weird in early games, kind of.
I mean,
You guys don't have fun in any of your Conquest matches, do you?
Then you hit no.
I mean,
You've
that's
never
why-
ran like support Nox.
That's why
I
Cat.
play Thor ADC. Like, let's
Dude,
go.
well, yeah, so you know, like,
Yeah.
support Nox is,
Yeah.
like, the most casual fun and support role you can
Yeah.
get. Like,
well,
doesn't count
that
towards the quest,
and
but, like...
Support Ratatosker.
Leave it to the designer to bring up the quest. Jeez.
Stun Acorn.
Also, my baby. Yeah, the stun, 2 second stun,
Yeah, that's right.
She's dope, but she suffers from.
Her early
Let's have a
series.
let's have a moment of silence for VS. She's got the VS, the Vulcan syndrome. She's just too difficult.
Someone does have to prove that she's good, yeah.
MLC has already proven that she's good. She's just
No, but like,
I can see
like good to the point of being worth learning.
sure. Pretty Prime has proven that Vulcan's good enough to be worth learning, but like it's still. I'd rather just use my time on other characters.
Not now.
Sure.
Oh, actually, probably now because you just got buffed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Ish.
that's what happens. That's what happens to.
That was
Nox,
more of a feel-good
is
buff.
She's hard to play, and you could just devote that time into learning Zeus.
Yeah.
Right? Where Zeus is hard to play because you got to get good at positioning, and the stuff you learn to get good at Zeus will be good for all of your mages. The
But
stuff
Nox,
you learn,
you-
Which I could
gotta
apply
hit
that
your
same
2-1
exact
on,
thing
like-
on Zeus to AMC.
exactly. Well, no. Realistically speaking, AMC, you laugh, is not
I'm always
terrible.
going to bring it up.
You need a protect strategy for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Leave it to
Eager.
Luminosity will
Eager.
play it.
Eager is the only 4-protect-1 team in NA.
Left.
I've
It used to be Cloud9 until they were like, you know what? We can pick Zeus without fucking protecting him. Fuck off, mid lane.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
I've been in Zapman's chat like at least once every other day. I'm like, yo, AMC.
Yeah.
You're like me. I sit there and go, AMC.
Nah.
What I
No,
do?
you do it with dogs.
No.
I have like a personal bet with Clumsy that AMC will get pecked this split. So
before-
I'm like,
You're gonna win that bet.
Yeah, probably.
Share your winnings with Barracuda. You're gonna win the bet.
Yeah.
Bear's not gonna even play it.
Yes, he will.
Oh, he will.
Barrett's the
He'll
guy.
play Frostbound. He'll play Frostbound.
Barrett plays AMC.
He's done it twice.
Barrett plays AMC when they do a full protect strategy. They need a Thor in the jungle. They need a fucking Athena. They need a Neath mid, and then Barrett will play AMC, and he will kill it. He'll kill it because
Dude, like
AMC could almost even.
he'll whip out the Hasten Fatalis Frostbound. Like I have seen him do it, and it is fucking disgusting.
That's filthy.
Yeah, it is. Isn't
I
it?
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, yeah. It's even if it's not good, it just doesn't feel okay.
It's just, AMC can be nasty. Definitely one of the flavor picks that I think Barra can bring out.
Everyone's gonna want AMC now after this.
Barra and Reels are your only two bets for bringing out AMC.
No. When I watch Reels, I want Rama.
Yeah.
I don't want him to look at
you
any
need
other
the,
character.
The Blink
besides
AMC.
No.
You need the Blink AMC. You need the Blink AMC for Reels.
No,
That's it.
he's permanent. He's permanent Rama for me.
Yep.
He can't play anyone else. His
Okay.
plays are too good.
You missed his on her. Reels is on her is
Well,
some of the
it's
best in the
Fnatic
world.
on her for a reason.
Yeah.
That's
like Zapman is probably the original on her, but
Well,
Reels and Zapman are like if you punched Zapman in the face and made him British, he'd just be Reels. Like
you think his
they're very
mechanics
similar.
are equal?
I think they're just very similar in gameplay style.
You think?
Yes. I think
Real sits back a little more.
I
Real-
feel
Reel's
like
more
Zapman's more reckless.
yeah.
No,
Oh,
this,
yes,
this
of
is
course, of course.
me completely
No,
talking
no.
out of my ass.
No. They are totally. So, by you guys are more right than I am in the sense that they.
Okay.
I
Sure.
don't.
I got lucky.
I'm slowly getting to what I'm saying. Now, Reels always he reminds me a lot of Zapman. He's the European version of Zapman in the sense that Zapman will always be the most aggressive player.
Yep.
And the European style is a little bit more passive. So, if you
Reels
take-
will always be the most aggressive Freya.
exactly. Reels will be the most aggressive player in a passive hunter meta.
She been played this.
She was played in the jungle by Verziel.
Did they win?
She'll come back. She always comes back.
She did decent.
Jungle Freya, that's some season 1 shit, man.
So Jungle Freya works out because you got
Who opens
Odin.
up Poseidon?
Yep, you got burst rages. I think Freya is more applicable. So Freya doesn't work in the long lane because you need to clear, but Freya works in general because you've got protective gods like Odin, and she can just sit there and go boom, 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 boom. But you just can't play her in the long lane because it's clear.
Yo, speaking of Odin, so he got nerfed in 2 different ways. Cage.
Oh yeah, Cage and Spectral.
Cage and Spectral. So, and the thing about Odin is he's
never known how. This will be the first. By the way, like
What do you mean?
design and then like, oh, let's talk about bounce. I'm like, Pun normally does my bidding.
so the thing about Odin is Odin before this patch was incredibly scary, right? Because he can just go in and he can cage every 30 seconds and get something and walk the fuck out. He could jump in if he has to, he can blink in if he really thinks he has a catch. And he did get 2 nerfs. He's got a longer cooldown on his cage, which is like, eh. And then there's
It's still
an
like
item,
it still ends up being like right around.
yeah,
40,
it's
5
15 seconds longer, which like
yeah,
that's
so 75
that's a lot
at
of
40%. You know.
That's a big nerf, but like it's still faster than everything else.
Yeah.
And then you've got an item to actually counter walls, and that's huge. It's
That is so huge.
Rip Ymir.
But by the way,
Like,
like here's
I
the
don't know if I like it, man.
Okay, first off, we'll get into the spectrum on why it's dope. Second, like the people who like Odin's going on, I'm not seeing them like venturing from like their normal DPS builds.
Yeah, what does it buy off of?
It's in the breastplate of Valor tree.
Yeah, that's rough.
You see what I'm saying? So like they have to invest. I think the tier 3 after you have the tier 2 is like 1150 on top of it.
Majors are
So
built.
555, 350. What?
I mean, either way, it's 2,000. It's 2,000 gold for some CDR.
It's
and shit.
no
No CDR. It's 2,000 gold for not dying.
Is there
goat.
health on it?
No.
And you still have to
it
blow a
is a
relic.
strict protection item.
And you
it-
still have to blow a relic.
It is a relic that it's tied to a relic, and it's just another version of Breastplate of Valor, pretty much, minus the 20% CDR. So you're talking about an item that people were only probably going to pick up on like warriors, right?
So-
and the reason why you pick it on warriors is so you can walk through the frontliners, right? And there's a lot like. When you think of like a standard fight, and like Pon talked about like what I did with Tyr in the playtest, and I was a big advocate of this item, is like when you think about a team fight, right? if you just throw like weakening on tier,
Mhm.
right, and you take teleport and then you go weakening, right, and so let's say you want to get team fight, or you go shell, right. When you're in the fight, you press it anyways when you initiate.
Sure.
You now walk through people. So, like, all of a sudden, Tyr doesn't get body blocked by anyone, and now I grabbed Ra, and he's jumping. And that's my initiation. Like, you can't lock that down. So, like, I'm still not gonna... I have a very hard time believing that hunters, or even mages, will pick up this item when they have... Then how come we haven't seen like a Magi's Blessing, even when the item was insane in season 1, get picked up on mages or hunters? Like,
so this is
MLC did it. But it's very rare.
So
but like that's kind of like my point, right? It's not like League of Legends where like you end up going into like a Banshee's Veil or a Guardian Angel and sacrificing for survivability. Sure. Our players are very much like, yo, DPS Doug.
Which is the change for this season, Mr. Casual Watcher. You gotta watch more SPL. The mages are sitting there. The mages are sitting there putting their thumb up their butt and building a Soul Reaver. Breastplate, Dynasty Plate Helm, and a third fucking defensive item. They'll trade.
Those are offensive items.
They'll trade one out.
Those are offensive items.
Yeah,
Dynasty Plate is
Dynasty Plate Helm has 45 magical power and like 15% power.
Dynasty Plate Helm is half.
Yeah.
Dynasty Plate
Oh,
Helm.
you get flat.
Yeah.
Dynasty, 15 power.
Dynasty Plate Helm is a hybrid item. Breastplate of Valor, sure, gives cooldown reduction. That's a defensive item, dude.
No.
There is
an
actually
offensive item and a hybrid item.
If anything, it's more of a hybrid item that I would say than it is an offensive item.
It's defensive.
No, because
I get that CDR is dope.
No, but here's why it's dope is because when you have Breastplate of Valor, all mages build Chronos Pendant this season.
Yeah.
You cap in 2 items, whereas if not, you have to get 3 items. And those other items do not build into you unless, like, I don't know, you're a healer.
CDR
and then even still, you're only going to get the 2, right? You know, you're never looking at, like, the cloak tree.
Yeah, but CDR...
It's a big... 40% CDR is a big difference.
It matters for a lot of characters.
But not all characters, and we're seeing it built on all characters.
Well, that's habit. Right, that's player habit.
Let me reiterate. On some gods, the breastplate of valor is defensive item. My point is, it's not fucking Doom Orb. It's not Book of Thoth. And if you're willing to build into a breastplate of valor, sure, it gives you a bunch of CDR. You're going to be willing to build into the spell.
It also gives you flat 300 mana on top of the CDR.
Here's the question, though: what is the lowest cooldown relic?
What do you mean?
Like, what's the lowest cooldown?
It doesn't apply.
It doesn't
apply to rocks.
No. He's talking to spectral armor.
Right.
Oh, Wrath, 60 seconds.
Mages with Wrath.
You fucking asshole. You fucking asshole.
No, but like,
I see what you did.
That was not a design intention.
Yes, it fucking was.
I don't even make the goddamn calls. I just like the spectral armor.
I think spectral armor is dope. I could totally see someone getting a lower cooldown active, like, is Girdle still in the game?
Yeah, of course. Frenzy is excellent.
Yeah, Frenzy. So, like, Nual with Frenzy or whatever, right? Like, getting something with a lower cooldown.
Just so you can flex the spectral more often.
Yeah, just so it's like, oh, there's a Nodin or a Ymir. I'm going to walk through the wall. And
Scout can be lower. No?
Oh, because you can...
When you go back to base.
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh, shit, I got Odin to be. Now I got it again, bro. Your ring is going to be up when my Scout's out. And so you just sit there and you look at mid lane and it's 40 more.
Realistically, how likely is this to happen? Low, it's probably not that big of a deal. Yeah. But, like, there is an option in the game now to deal with something that previously was not dealt with.
Which is interesting.
Entirely through position.
And this will be our last conversation. I'm not sure, and I know it's your baby. I'm not sure if I like the fact that does everything need a counter?
I think Odin Ult did. Like, holy,
sure.
If Odin Ult isn't going to counter itself, which it no longer does when he can walk through it, yeah.
And to be fair, design-wise, like...
That was fucking stupid.
It's the Allfather.
Yeah.
Like, the guy at Valhalla, where gods are just fighting because they got accepted because they're warriors and now they're extra warriors, right?
Yeah.
Like, my man should be able to walk their goddamn cage.
But my point is that...
Should everything have a counter? I think...
To an extent.
Because it's so, like... Thorwald.
If it
and
forces
Ymir
you
walls
off
are
of,
so
like-
exciting.
If it forces you off the path, I think yeah.
Okay. Because Thorwalls and Ymir walls are so exciting.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is that.
And I will be very upset the first time when Raffer gets somebody stuck between here and they just fucking Osiris through.
To be fair, like Ymir Wall is also 6 seconds or something like that, right?
And
Like
Thor with CDR
like-
is what?
my favorite thing is when Merc came back in the meta is like when you see a Cabrakan or a Ymir, right? Because Merc's like, yeah, I'm gonna ult right into this team fight, and they just put a wall up.
Yep.
And he's just like, well, fuck, I literally cannot do it.
And now what you do, you hit Girdle and you wall, and you're like, I'm through your wall, bitch!
Which also sounds hilarious. But like, yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it should be in game, and I like the fact that it's on an item that you don't want to get.
Like, put it this way: if we threw
It can't be
that
on
passive
beats.
on like
Beats.
Breastplate.
no, if we threw that passive on, let's say an offensive item. Let's say we threw it on
Thoth.
Chins
Oh, Breastplate of Valor, right? That's an offensive item, right, you little fuckheads?
hybrid.
Yeah.
Hybrid.
Yeah, I said hybrid for that. Dynasty play helmets on offense.
Shut
Like,
up.
put it this: like, if we were like, yo, Wind Demon and Doom Orb.
Yeah.
Well, not Doom Orb, but like basically an item that is standard in the pack. Obsidian Shard.
Right.
Right? People would be like, well, duh. Like, that's just natural. But since you actually have to make a decision to sacrifice DPS, I think that itself is a story. Because it's like, yeah, he has survivability, but late game, is he really going to be able to shred through this guy? And the answer is maybe if his team provides him heal. And then it also forces, like, even if you use one and then you pop beads, right? Like, just to get out of a Ymir wall, there's also the bigger question of, is Ymir played more to force more relics out?
Because my beef with the idea is that Odin has always been one of my favorite examples of how I like pick and ban counterplay to go.
Sure.
Because it's not hyper specific where Gandhi, the god of Brofists, just shuts down gods 1, 2, 3. It's Odin is selected, so you better have a jump. A Wheelish is selected, so you better have a dash, right? I like those sweeping things that change. And by introducing Spectral Armor, I think it is in the right spot and on a shitty item where you're forced to go off the reservation to buy it. And I think that's the best possible place for it to exist, if it's going to exist. But I think that now, instead of that fun intricacy of, I selected Odin, so you can't go Chiron, now you have to go Ho Yi. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, I mean, I don't want to buy Spectral Armor on a Chiron, but if that's all I can play, I can still play it.
But also, his ultimate's every 42 seconds. So you'll be able to get 4 ults off by the time Beads is back up. Well, 3. But
Right.
A lot.
Like, and you should be forcing that issue, I think.
Yeah.
Like, think about how big it is when like, League of Legends is a game which is notorious for, like, summoner spells, where it's like, it's
Flash,
like 240
minutes.
seconds, 285 seconds, whatever the hell it is. I mean, they have to balance around that because
Right.
they know movement is so strong. So it's like, gank successful, got flash, not a kill, right?
Yep.
Smite, it's like, I pop beads.
We
Right.
still, that's still
Which is getting better now because it's 160 seconds, but like last season it was like,
Yeah,
down,
it
whatever.
didn't matter if they had beasts.
exactly. Because eventually they're going to have it by the next fight.
What you would actually have to do is you'd have to then force a fight immediately after.
Exactly. And I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I would just like to see more big picture stuff. Personally, I think it's very fun that Odin dictates a lot of what happens in picks and bans, and that's not fun when Odin's the only guy that does it.
I think the
but if
problem,
you have an Odin that does it, and a Wheelish that does it, and you have many gods that dictate the pick or ban phase in that way, where it's like, sure, you can pick Odin and tell us we all have to have jumps, but I can pick this character and say you better.
I can
have
pick
this.
a Wheelish and say now your Odin can't jump.
Exactly, like that. I like that back and forth. The problem is it's just Odin and a Wheelish. If there were
39
other
seconds.
characters in the conversation, it might be fun.
I think there's a little bit more. Characters like Nox and Poseidon will actually stuff Odin's jump on landing.
Yeah.
Entirely. So there's some intricacies there, and actually long-standing creative use of game mechanics. And this is actually from the launch tournament, where if I'm Apollo versus Honor, right? Honor's thing is you jump in on them and you impale them to the wall.
Yep.
I can so beautiful your jump. Or I can measure jump.
measure jump.
I can measure jump so that it won't actually do any damage to me. It won't actually knock me back. So that's like, there's stuff in there, and there's some really high level intricacies that sort of work towards that. I think it is okay to also have a counter that you can go to if you really need it. That also fucks you, right?
And to be fair, it's always kind of been in the game anyways with combat blink.
Yeah, just in a
Which is
different way.
largely missing.
Which is
Combat
also,
blink doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, but I'm saying
okay.
was in the
It
game.
was.
Like there was a counter to Odin.
and actually, Combat Blink was probably better than this item is, right? Like Combat
Because
Blink
you at
was
least
good
have an
against everything
option,
else
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little bit like Magi's, right? Like if you draft a team that's got an Ares, a Rama, a Bastet,
You're right.
a Ra,
You're right.
and like
You're right, dude. I like the spectral armor. You're totally fucking
Look,
right.
let me tell you.
You're totally right.
Let me tell you why spectral armor is an amazing quality of life.
Because it's a shitty item.
No.
Yes.
Here's why. Okay, I'm New Wall. Okay, I go up for Frenzy or what are you looking at?
Just look at that new album, bro.
I go up. Thor's coming in. I see him. He doesn't throw his Tectonic Rift yet. He
Right.
throws it when I'm coming up or when I'm coming down.
Right.
I land. I press Aegis. I'm no longer dead. A guy who does not have a movement ability, I can now go directly straight through Tectonic Rift, and then I can walk away,
Yep.
blocking Thor off. So now Thor goes, okay, when do I use this? Do I use this?
Mm-hmm.
And how?
how do I position it?
Exactly. And I think the things that evolve from that are a lot more than not.
Sure.
And you're still giving something up for it, right? It's like
Oh, God, yeah.
if you've got a team that's got an Ares, but they don't have much other CC, so you're seeing Bastat, Rama, Ra, right?
You have to get
It's
period.
like if it's an Ares and a Chang'e, and those are their two CCs, yeah, you get Magi's because it uses one of them and
Yeah.
Beads gets the other, and that's a problem with their draft, and they have to
Right,
try and
right,
figure out
yeah,
another
yeah.
way to get around it. I think that much is interesting, but on the same token, it's like, what weird opportunities are there for this, right? Like
What really-
warriors avoiding body blocks or whatever.
What really
Yeah.
convinced
Yeah,
me,
yeah, sure.
it opens up a lot of
We'll see.
different options, which I'm not sure I love or not. But I have come around to the fact because it's on a bad item. Magi's
Well,
was
it's like Divine Ruin, right? Like you're
That's
paying a tax
exactly.
to get the dope pass.
Divine Ruin was the old example. Divine Ruin is a shitty item,
Is it still?
but
Divine
it shuts down.
No
people.
item is shitty, man.
Sorry,
Ruin? Divine Ruin is still shitty, right?
you didn't make Divine Ruin, okay?
That's been in the game.
But
forever.
listen, that the argument that Krett and I have been talking about for literal years is that Divine Ruin's a shitty item, but sometimes you need the passive,
You do.
and that's how I like. I like that it's included on Spectral Armor because that's not an item that you want to purchase ever. Like it's just not a good. I mean, for like, what is it like? Design intent is to buy it when you need a shitload of protections, right? Sure, you can find other areas, other like that, and it's always good. That's always going to be the case. Is that the players will find the best route possible, right?
There's one other item that I think is really interesting too. It's Genji's.
Genji's Guard.
What does that do?
Genji's
Zoom.
No. Oh God.
No,
Oh,
that's
God.
the magic damage or the magic.
Oh
protection
my
that
God.
reduces, right?
I want to get it completely right because I'm not going to do it a service.
You
But
gotta use the on-screen keyboard.
God
Go
damn
team.
it. Here, type in the patch notes. Yeah, you just look it up here.
No.
I do believe this is it. So Genji's Guard or Guard.
Guard.
Oni Hunter's Guard was the other one.
Yes.
Garb and Guard. So this new passive is we gave it 10% CDR, and the new passive is when you are hit by a magical damaging ability, your abilities are reduced by 2 seconds.
Yep.
Your HP 5 is no, fuck you guys. It is the Zoom item.
No.
Your HP 5 is increased by 150% and your movement speed increased by 20% for 5 seconds every
old.
time you take magical damage.
That's
I told
old.
you it was the Zoom.
Huh?
It's the go fast item, man.
Dude, that's old.
Chat, they should be caught up.
That's old. I'm telling you,
Dude, Flare Boot agrees. Gandhi wins.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's old.
No, Gandhi's got Flare Boot. He wins, dude.
Like, what are you looking at? Smite Wiki?
I'm looking at Google, bro.
Yeah. What's the website?
Forums.spikegame.com.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, January 25th.
Shut the fuck up.
What's that? This patch? Oh yeah. So, anywho, it does 10% cooldown reduction, and it's when you take it's exactly what I said. When you take magical damage from abilities, your cooldowns are reduced by 2 seconds. This can only occur once every 30 seconds.
Change this?
That's in 3.6. That just went live today.
Oh, then I'm fine with not knowing it. Okay.
Well, I mean, you do have SPL on like
Thursday.
He's got to.
What's tomorrow? What's tomorrow? Not Thursday. That's what I do at the office tomorrow.
So here,
Actually, tomorrow you've got a talk show. Let's Talk
no,
Wednesdays.
no. Let's Talk is every other Wednesdays. We only are at on
That's every
Wednesdays.
Wednesday?
Yeah.
So the big thing with that is it'll be interesting to see if people can value that, especially based on the matchup, right?
Mhm.
Because it's not basic attacks. It's actually the damaging abilities, which
Right.
the old one actually, I want to say, was taking damage from magical basic attacks as well. So and it was in combat, so it was just like all sorts of weird. But when we revisited this item, we were like, an interesting thing to really look at would be what's a good counter for going up against a mage, right? And it's like, well, you probably need to have your cooldowns down, especially if you're a tank, so you can probably deal with it, right? Whether it's mitigate wounds or a Geb shield, right? So if Geb throws a shield onto someone in the beginning of a fight, and then all of a sudden he gets hit with a stellar burst, now that's reduced. And if he has breastplate, right? Now he's good.
Yeah.
He's now flirting with like a 40% CDR line without investing into it, which if they're able to justify the other stats on the
It now
other, right?
completely
and that's the other thing.
It's fun though. You
Oni's also is.
you buff Chunga and then put an item in that fucks Chunga. Fantastic.
There's always the pro. Oni
Actually, I'd
Hunter.
probably use it on Chunga.
Oh God.
You immediately get hit, all your stuff comes back up?
Yeah, but I'm talking about everybody. They're like, oh, it's a Chunga. Let me buy that item that gives me all my cooldowns back, bro. I'm just gonna play Hercules in long lane and Falcon kick her to death every time she looks at me with her 4 abilities she needs to clear the way with.
Yeah. Well, it's a 30-second turn cooldown.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's our show. We touched upon some SPL. We touched on some other stuff.
Scotty.
Also look at Oni Hunter's card.
Yeah. I mean, I got.
Well, that's a big one because we change it from 15 seconds out of combat. You get a shield to just every 10.
Yeah. Now it's every 10 seconds. That's a big deal.
That's
Oni Hunters was already on my radar. The Genji's card, not so much.
I would like to do a roundtable with you two boys on Scotty. Is she competitively viable?
So Dark Dodo, Dignitas versus whoever the fuck they faced.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Apollo Soul Lane split push for everything, right?
Yeah.
That's fucking Scotty. That's what she does. You go to her lane, she kills you. You can't 1v1 her. She's got a dog, so it's 2v1, right? I think that would be dope. I want to see that sort of play.
Scotty is competitively viable, depending on the players that will play her.
Yeah.
I think that she will be similar to Uller in the sense that like Zapman will crush, Vedium will crush, and then all your mid-range hunters will be like, I have no idea how to fucking play her.
I also feel like it's going to be a little bit like Kumba, where if your team sucks at playing with a Kumba, it just doesn't work.
Very true.
Right? Because of her slip and slide ability, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your team doesn't know how the fuck that works, you're going to have a bad time for everyone. You're going to put it down in a team fight, and everyone's going to miss.
Yeah.
Now, can you play her? Because everyone always says like, oh, the hunter has to be viable if they have a movement ability, which is not even close to true.
Right.
It's close to true.
Ish. I think that's just a stigma, personally.
I'll
Go back and watch that Artemis game.
I like more hunters
I'll
without.
agree with
Hey, Artemis can press 2 to go fast.
Yeah, Artemis has a movement ability. She goes fast. And also, you want to talk about movement abilities, Artemis can also buy spectral armor and walk through walls.
That's true. Well, but so can Scotty.
That's true.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think she'll be interesting because, to my knowledge, she has no move speed boost at all.
No, not at all.
So, like, completely unique in that
three.
regard. Her
When
threes.
she stands
Yeah,
on
when
the
she
ice.
walks on her ice, she's 25.
When she walks on permanent frost.
Permafrost is also the size of a dime, so.
Well, right.
Yeah, that's more of a juking ability than anything I say. So, like, doesn't really have movement ability to the greatest extent of any hunter. I think that's going to be super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see her.
I really do want to
Mid?
see her.
I would love to see her. Think about just like putting a second point into
Dude,
permafrost and like, oh yeah, they're rotating for mid harpies.
Yeah.
There's 4 walls, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
you just put it down and they're like, fuck,
Holy.
we can't get to mid like, I don't know how this works.
That's my dream, man. I hope.
I'm stuck in the Silph Club, just bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
Help me. Yeah, realistically, I think that Scotty. It's always I always like to see because I think that the game is so much more than the game itself at the SPL level. It's about the players in the league.
Okay.
I always reserve judgment until I actually get to see.
She's
the players.
AMC with a dog instead of bees.
Sure. But yeah, I'm very eager. I'm very
Sad boys.
Yeah, sad boys. I'm very eager to see how the players wind up. I know Zatman has been training her all day and loves her. So expect to see her.
Hey,
on the Eager.
they're the 4 Protect 1 team.
Exactly. Expect to
I
see.
love to see
Expect
it.
to see her on Eager. Anything you want to say before we get the fuck out of here?
AMC and Thunder, believe.
Sunda. Anything you want to say before we get the fuck out of here?
I was really impressed by Suntouch and the rest of Dignitas. Like,
Yeah.
they do, like, last week we were like,
He goes back to
you know, I think these teams are going to suck. But I would love if they prove me wrong.
Yep.
They proved me wrong.
No, sometimes
I'm excited.
I mean, I gave my top 8 teams, and they were a number 8 under.
No. They're number 1 now, and Panthera's number 8.
And they were team feels bad man to toss. Like I just thought they were trash.
Yeah.
And a large part of that had to do with not Variety, Frostiak.
Frostiak, yeah.
And Frostiak has stepped it up. So
Yeah.
congratulations. I think it's.
They're number
really big.
3, and that is like feasible for them to stay there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely feasible that Dignitas stays at number 3. I think it's very feasible that Panthera stay at number 1.
He
Nah,
didn't.
they're
Wasn't
probably
Suntouch close to making Super Regionals last year?
No,
Yeah.
Suntouch wasn't on the team near Super Regionals.
His team made it.
Or was that
Super
or was
Regionals.
that summer finals?
Summer
There was
finals.
one where
Yeah.
they were like close,
Yeah.
and then they threw,
Yeah.
and they weren't close.
When it comes down to it, Suntouch has played a whole bunch of positions, and I don't like any of them except for support. I think he's the bomb.com.
He's been killing it.
I think he's the bomb.com in support, and I think everything else is a little bit lackluster. I was worried about his coming into this, but as we've seen, he has been able to tear it up. In fact, he elicits personal bans. People ban Bacchus against him.
Yup. It was dope.
No,
in the
that's
first round of bans.
that's
Like, you got to be doing something fucking right if the team is like, shit, we better ban Bacchus. like, you got to be killing it if you're like,
I don't
shit.
even know how you win lane with Bacchus.
You belly flop on people?
Well, that's the thing. He, like,
Like when I remember that like one of my claims to fame like early in Smite, like they were doing a design meeting, right? And I was like, I just came in and it was like at the time, you know, it was the gathering, and I didn't touch anything with balance, and I just was like, yo, Belch should knock back minions, like closed door, right? Like just like the perfect moment, and then I was like, it would make sense, you know? Like,
You just-
Aries Flames do it.
you just throw it in there. You just chuck the grenade, close the door, and go, let's see what they
And
do.
I thought that would really help, but like, I don't know.
No,
Every time I play
that's-
Bacchus, dude, I'm just like,
That's what he did. That's what Suntouch does, though. He just
But,
plays
I
with his
mean-
dick out.
Yeah.
He walks up the lane, he burps, the minions get pushed together, he flops them, they're all dead, and the other guys are like,
And
Yeah,
then he
our minions
leaves
are
lane
done. Yeah.
because Bacchus doesn't want to stay in lane. He
No.
wants to go to your mid and jump on your face.
it's
Yeah.
like, see you later, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Suntouch has absolutely done a big job.
impressive.
Suntouch has done a great job. For me, the last thing that I want to mention is Randozos. I think that this is the week that Randozos can find a win.
Who are they playing?
Oh, fuck, I had this earlier. It's very dependent on who they're I think they're playing Eager.
They could beat Eager.
I forget who they're playing, and like I feel really shitty.
To be fair, like, I think Ionic's super good in the role. I
Sure.
think that team is. They're not a spring split team. They're a fall split team.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Randozos is Randozos is sore a year ago.
Yeah.
Like straight up.
Yeah.
Randozos is sore a year ago in the sense that they're a team that they're playing Eager. They're a team that like needs some time in the kiln, and then later on once
New
these
logo.
guys- yeah, sure.
And
The
team name.
clown's gotta go. New team name definitely gotta go.
Yep.
But yeah, Randozos against Eager. You guys know how high I've been on Eager, how much I love Eager, and how much I really want to and expect them to succeed. I actually think that Randozos can sneak a win this week with Ionic on board. So
Interesting.
And that would put them tied.
yeah.
If
Oh,
they do
he's
well.
on. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's my stretch. I do think you can do it, but that's my stretch
Yep.
prediction. So make sure you watch that Randozos game. We're gonna get out of here. Thanks for hanging out. I'm F. Dot. He's Gandhi. That's Krett. We'll catch you next Tuesday here, twitch.tv/FSwag. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Peace.
And much love to you.
It's so hot. Turn it off. I want to play Dark Souls.
All right.
It's so hot.
I don't know how to turn it off. Is this it? Whoa!